Chapter 13:17. Several days later, Xiaoping finally came out of seclusion. After a few days of cultivation, he had stabilized his treasure refining realm cultivation. He had completely mastered the power of treasure refining realm. The dragon blood in the pool had also been reduced by half. One could imagine how much dragon blood energy he had absorbed over the past few days. But he was also emotional. If not for the energy provided by the dragon blood pool, perhaps his cultivation would not have been so smooth. My divine sense and spiritual power have become stronger. Xiaoping clenched his fists. After advancing to treasure refining realm, his purple mansion space had expanded. In the end, it had expanded to a diameter of 10,000 kilometers. This was an extremely vast space. At the same time, his divine sense covered a range of 10,000 kilometers. If he was still on Earth, he would probably be able to cover half of Earth with one thought. The power of his divine sense was terrifying. This also made it easier for him to comprehend the heaven and earth formation than ordinary treasure refining realm cultivators. Xiaoping's divine sense moved, and the entire palace was covered by his divine sense. The power of his divine sense was all-pervasive and could even attach to different objects. Boom! Immediately, Xiaoping used the power of his divine sense. Countless rocks, dust, and even all sorts of furniture on the ground trembled and then floated up into the air. This power was like telekinesis. The power of one's mind could affect reality. After advancing to treasure refining realm, his ability to control objects had become even more powerful. If it was before, controlling so many objects would have been a bit difficult. But now it was extremely easy. If Xiaoping wanted to, he could use his divine sense to control flying swords and kill people from thousands of kilometers away. Even the ancient sword immortals could only do this. Bloodline power. Xiaoping clenched his fists and felt his blood flow like magma. There seemed to be a golden crow of hell crying deep inside him. His heart was like a morning bell, an evening drum, beating with a unique rhythm. These days, not only did his spiritual power cultivation improve greatly, but because he had absorbed large amounts of dragon blood, many of the golden crow of hell cells in his body had been unsealed. So far, he had unsealed a total of 90,000 golden crow hell cells. The lightning trial is probably coming soon. Xiaoping had a feeling that if he continued unsealing and reached 100,000 golden crow of hell cells, he would definitely obtain another golden crow of hell ability and face another lightning trial. The power of the next lightning tribulation would most likely be even more terrifying, possibly reaching up to 36 lightning tribulations. However, he was also very confident in his own strength. Even if he had to face 36 lightning tribulations, he would still be able to withstand it. Beep! At this moment, the system's voice sounded. Congratulations, host. You have obtained a large number of hatred points from the Dragon Men. Many Dragon Men hate the host to the bone and have an irreconcilable feud with you. This time, you have obtained a total of 1 billion hatred points. I hope the host will continue to work hard. I'm rich. Xiaoping was overjoyed. Wasn't the reason why he was so high profile to gain the hatred of the dragon human race? Now that he looked at it, he had indeed gotten a lot of hatred. In addition to what he had obtained before, and minus the 10 million hatred points he had just spent, his hatred points had now reached 5 billion, which was simply an astronomical figure. Who knew how many treasures he could buy from the system? Xiaoping felt like he was a nouveau riche who could buy whatever he wanted. Warning, host. Earlier, when host was cultivating, a mysterious power tried to spy on host. However, it was blocked by the system. The enemy is very powerful, and if host encounters it, host will die without a doubt. Please leave this dangerous place as soon as possible in order to avoid any unexpected calamity. The system's voice sounded out again. What? Xiaoping frowned. There was a mysterious power trying to spy on him. For something like this to happen while he was cultivating, could it be the owner of this true dragon nest, Titania? However, it was normal. This place was one of Titania's laboratories, and it could be considered her lair. Moreover, this lair had not been destroyed by the enemy. Perhaps Titania had left some backup measures here. By entering the Dragon God continent, he was actually invading Titania's territory. He was considered an intruder. If Titania was a very petty dragon, then his actions would be considered as offending her. Thinking of this, Xiaoping immediately became vigilant. After all, Titania was a mad scientist of the dragon race. Her strength was unfathomable, and she had the power to capture even sages. It would be too easy for her to deal with him. It was not much easier than breathing. Although she was a mighty sage-level figure and might not be interested in him, what if Titania was very interested in him and wanted to capture him for research? It was better to be safe than sorry. As the saying goes, a gentleman does not stand under a collapsing wall. There was no need for him to take this risk and put his life in the hands of the enemy. Looks like this place is not suitable for me to stay for long. If I'm targeted by that mad scientist of a dragon race, then I'm doomed. I'd better leave this place quickly. Xiaoping had already decided to retreat. Anyway, he had already found Chu Rong and the others and obtained a large number of treasures. There was no need for him to continue staying in the true dragon nest. All right, I'll plunder all the treasures here and leave quickly. With a whoosh, he immediately moved, plucking away a large amount of dragon blood from the dragon blood pool, moving it all into the space of the pearl of mountain and river, not leaving a single drop behind. This dragon blood was an extremely precious resource. It was difficult to find even in the universe. After all, killing a dragon was a serious crime. One would completely offend the dragon race and be hunted down for eternity. Not long after, the entire pool of dragon blood was emptied. What is this? After emptying the dragon blood, Xiaoping immediately discovered that many dragon race characters and dragon race symbols had appeared at the bottom of the pool. They were mysterious and seemed to contain a mysterious power. Translate. Xiaoping subconsciously reached out and immediately spent 10 million hatred points to translate the dragon race characters at the bottom of the pool. Rumble, in the next second, a majestic wave of dragon race characters poured into the depths of his mind, turning into golden symbols in the purple mansion space. It seemed to be deducing a peerless cultivation technique. 7 Fiend Dragon Roar. Xiaoping immediately knew that this was a dragon race's roar cultivation technique. It had reached the level of a saint-tier cultivation technique, one level higher than the 8 heavenly dragons' music. After all, the 8 heavenly dragons' music was a cultivation technique that used the voice of the heavenly dragon to influence the power of heaven and earth. However, the 7 Fiend Dragon Roar was different. It was completely a sound-killing divine ability of the dragon race. It absorbed the 7 Fiend Chi of heaven and earth and combined it with the true dragon roar. The power that erupted was simply earth-shattering. With a single roar, tens of thousands of mountains would be destroyed. This was a cultivation technique inherited from the dragon race. There's actually a dragon race cultivation technique in this place. Not bad. Chapter 13:18. There doesn't seem to be any other treasures. Xiaoping continued to search the dragon blood pool. After plundering all the dragon blood and obtaining the 7 Fiend Dragon Roar, he did not find any other treasures. However, he was satisfied. Obtaining so much dragon blood was a treasure that could not be bought with money in the universe. Once news of this was leaked, who knew how many people would target him? Let's leave after plundering all the spiritual herbs and fruits in this place. Xiaoping rubbed his chin. He knew that there was a herb garden in the draconic god Forbidden Ground that planted a large amount of spiritual herbs. Although it was nothing to Titania, it was an incredible fortune to him. Moreover, these spiritual herbs could be planted in the space of the mountain river pearl and continuously produced. Several hours later, whoosh, the myriad stars left the depths of the draconic god Forbidden Ground. Xiaoping, Chu Rong, Jiang Yaru, Yu Chi-Chi, and Su Ji were also on the ship, leaving this place together. Before leaving, Xiaoping also cleaned out all the treasures in the draconic god Forbidden Ground, leaving nothing behind. If anyone else accidentally entered this Forbidden Ground, their faces would probably turn green with anger because there were no treasures inside. All of them had been taken by Xiaoping. We're finally leaving. I really can't bear to leave. Xiaoping was very emotional. There were many treasures in the true dragon nest, and there were not many dangers. He really hoped to stay longer. After all, after leaving this place, there would be very few places that could have such a great harvest. Hearing this, Chu Rong and the others looked at Xiaoping with disdain. This guy really took advantage of them, and yet he was still pretending to be innocent. If the original true dragon nest knew that everything in their nest had been plundered by this bastard, they would probably chase after him for thousands of miles. Even being robbed would not be this terrifying. It was like being attacked by locusts, the kind where not even a blade of grass would grow. Boom! At this moment, the myriad stars also passed through. Just like the way they came, they were naturally bombarded by the restrictive formations here. The scene was spectacular. What a terrifying restrictive formation. With our strength, we have no hope of leaving this place. Jiang Yaru could not help but feel shocked when she saw the scene outside. Previously, she thought that if she could reach the divine realm, she might have a chance of leaving this forbidden ground. Now, it seemed like it was pure wishful thinking. If Xiaoping did not come, they would not be able to leave this place until they died of old age. If they dared to take even half a step out of the forbidden ground, they would be turned into ashes. When she sensed the energy of the restriction, she felt even more tiny, weak, and powerless, and it seemed as though advancing to the Violet Palace realm was nothing. The universe is unfathomable. It seems like we are really in the cloud realm. Chu Rong couldn't help but nod. If she hadn't come to the outside world, she wouldn't have known how big the universe was. The so-called invincible monarchs in the cloud realm were just slightly bigger ants in the universe. Advancing to the Purple Mansion realm was the beginning of cultivation. They were still a long way from being complacent. Xiaoping, you promised to recommend us to join the Heaven and Earth faction. Don't go back on your word. Yu Qiqi looked at Xiaoping. She knew that Xiaoping had entered the universe as well, and had even joined a saint-class sect. That was the reason why his strength had improved by leaps and bounds, reaching the transcendent realm within a year. Yu Qiqi looked at Xiaoping. She knew that Xiaoping had also entered the universe and joined a saint-class sect. If Xiaoping was still in the cloud realm, he would not be able to improve so quickly. Therefore, she wanted to join the Heaven and Earth sect to obtain a lot of cultivation resources and knowledge. Suji nodded. With their current strength, if they did not join a saint-class sect, they would not be able to achieve anything for the rest of their lives. They also learned from Xiaoping that the cloud realm had undergone earth-shaking changes. It had begun to contact the universe and even entered the universe virtual network. Sooner or later, the cloud realm would become a place where kings were inferior to dogs. This was bound to happen. 1,000 years ago, before the cataclysm, there were pitifully few martial disciples on planet Yanwan. Martial disciples were the martial arts masters of planet Yanwan. They were like crabs. But now, the so-called martial disciples were just high school students. They could not even be considered as beginners. Of course, it's not a problem. Xiaoping waved his hand, indicating that this was not a big problem. After all, he was the last disciple of the Dark North Saint. Although his strength was low and he did not have much power to speak of, although he was weak and did not have much power, it was not a big problem to recommend a few disciples with potential to join the Heaven and Earth sect. He was not worried that Jiang Yaru and the others would not be able to join the Heaven and Earth sect. They had bathed in a lot of dragon blood and consumed a lot of treasures. Their qualifications had been greatly improved. Moreover, they were geniuses even in the universe. They would not lose to anyone. Therefore, any sect with a bit of foresight would recruit them. Dong. Soon, the stars left the Dragon God Forbidden Ground and arrived at Dragon God City. We finally left the Forbidden Ground. Yu Qiqi was excited. She felt that she had finally escaped from this cage. Xiaoping, how do we leave this place and return to the Cloud Realm? There seems to be no passage here. Jiang Yaru asked curiously. It seemed that even if they left the Dragon God Forbidden Ground, they would not be able to find a way out. It's okay. We could just jump out. This place can't stop the stars. Xiaoping said. Boom. In the next second, the stars activated and immediately jumped. The huge ship entered the black hole and left the Dragon God continent without a sound. The humans and dragon men of the Dragon God continent did not know that Xiaoping had left without a sound. However, the waves that Xiaoping caused in this world lasted for millions of years and became a legend. At this moment, a black hole appeared in the sky above the cloud realm. The stars immediately came out of the black hole. Whoosh! Soon, the stars flew back to the giant island. We're finally back. We must have a feast this time. Strawberry cake, chocolate ice cream, cookies, and other delicacies. Wait for me. I'm coming to eat you all. Jiang Yaru, Yu Chi-Chi, Su Ji, and Chu Rong were all very excited. Their faces were red because they had finally returned to their hometown. Most importantly, they did not want to eat those monotonous food anymore. The leader and the others are looking for me. Not long after Xiaoping returned to the Cloud Realm, he immediately received a message from the leader and the others. They had something to discuss with him. It seemed that this matter was very important and concerned the kings of the entire Cloud Realm. Beep. Chapter 1319. Beep. Immediately, a virtual projection appeared. Gu Shilai, Sun Yongdao, Lu Wuming, and the other human sovereigns appeared on the screen. Xiaoping, you finally showed up. If you didn't show up in a few days, we would have left the Cloud Realm, Gu Shilai said straightforwardly when he saw Xiaoping contacting him. Leave the Cloud Realm? Xiaoping blinked and looked at Gu Shilai and the others. That's right. We've finally made up our minds to leave the Cloud Realm and explore the universe to find an opportunity to break through to a higher realm. His eyes revealed a glimmer of light, and an unwavering will flickered in the depths of his pupils. The other human sovereigns nodded and made the same decision, especially the invincible sovereigns who had reached the transcendent realm. They had been stuck at this bottleneck for too long and wanted to break through to a higher realm. However, they didn't have enough cultivation resources and martial arts knowledge, so they couldn't break through. If Xiaoping hadn't appeared, they would have been stuck like this for the rest of their lives. But now it was different. Xiaoping brought the universe virtual network to let them know the vastness of the universe. They knew that the transcendent realm was just cannon fodder in the universe and was only the starting point of martial arts. If that was all, it would have been fine. However, the Red Scarf Bandits attacked, and Xiaoping easily defeated them, obtaining the spaceships brought by the bandits. One must know that these spaceships were capable of interstellar travel. With these spaceships, they could travel through space and reach the distant star fields. Therefore, with so many factors superimposed, they finally made up their minds to go to the depths of the universe to find an opportunity to break through. In fact, this was also the general trend and the choice of the era. Congratulations! Xiaoping sighed. He also knew that this day would come sooner or later. Although Gu Shilai and the others were the protectors of humanity, they were also martial artists who yearned for the peak of martial arts. It would have been fine if they didn't know how big the world was, but now that they knew, they couldn't bear it. Of course, because of the emergence of the Skynet system, the safety of humans in the Cloud Realm was no longer worried. The Marine race and the Demon race couldn't stop the human race from dominating the world, and the alien invasion could be easily defeated. As the protectors, they could finally unload their burdens. Even without them in the Cloud Realm, there wouldn't be any problems for humanity. This was probably one of the reasons they made up their minds to leave the Cloud Realm. Therefore, he had no reason to stop these human experts from coming. This was what they deserved. After protecting humans for such a long time, they should have found something they liked to do. However, although you plan to go to the universe, what do you want to do? Do you have any plans? Xiaoping asked curiously because the universe was different from the Cloud Realm. In the Cloud Realm, they were invincible kings. No one could defeat them, and they were respected. However, once they stepped into the universe, they were just ants, not worth mentioning. The slightest bit of carelessness could lead to them being annihilated by an expert and vanishing without a trace. Most importantly, they were too old. Even if they wanted to join a saint-level sect, no one would be willing to accept them, even with Xiaoping's recommendation. This blocked many of their paths. We intend to join the Universe Mercenary Organization. Gulai stated his decision. This was a decision they had made after careful consideration. Universe Mercenary Group? Xiaoping's eyes gleamed. This organization could be considered one of the superpowers in the entire universe. Its members could be found all over the universe, and it was even more terrifying than a Saint-class sect. However, its structure was loose, and anyone could join as a mercenary. This also caused the organization to be a mix of good and bad people. However, it had to be said that this organization was the best place for rogue cultivators in the entire universe. This was because once one became a mercenary, they could accept missions issued by the Universe Mercenary Organization. If they could complete the missions, they could obtain a lot of rewards. They could exchange the rewards for higher-level cultivation methods and precious cultivation resources. In fact, many mercenaries had made a name for themselves by relying on the Universe Mercenary Organization and became almighty. There were even some powerful sages in history. This had become a legend among mercenaries. "When do you plan to leave?" Xiaoping asked. He understood the plan of Gulai and the other human kings. Moreover, human kings like them who had lived for thousands of years were all sly and cunning people. They had seen everything and experienced everything. They did not need a young man like him to remind them whether it was dangerous or not. Since they had made such a decision, it proved that they had a certain degree of awareness. The only thing he could do was to wish them well. "We leave in 3 days," Gulai said. "And this time, it's not just us humans who are going. Kings of the Demon Clan and the Oceanic Clan are also going. We can look after each other." "Kings of the Demon Clan and the Oceanic Clan?" Xiaoping raised an eyebrow. He did not expect the Kings of the Demon Clan and the Oceanic Clan to also plan to go to the universe. But in fact, there was nothing strange about it. With the Skynet system set up in the Cloud Realm, the Oceanic Clan and the Demon Clan could not do anything no matter how much they tried. Basically, their path of conquering the Cloud Realm was blocked. If the humans wanted them to die, they would not be able to live. Since this was the case, they completely let go and no longer fought against the humans. They obediently surrendered. Moreover, some of the invincible demon kings were like the human kings. They had the ambition to ascend to the peak of martial arts. They also wanted to become the legendary demon sages and live forever. However, it was absolutely impossible to achieve this by staying in the Cloud Realm. Therefore, they decided to leave the Cloud Realm with the human kings and explore the universe. "Leader, have a safe journey," Xiaoping said sincerely. He knew that the path to the universe would not be smooth. Moreover, he was going to become a mercenary in the universe. It would not be surprising if he died one day during a mission. Perhaps after today, it will be the last time they met. "Haha, thanks. Maybe one day, we will meet somewhere in the universe." With a snap, after saying this, Gushilai and others hung up the phone. The reason why they called Xiaoping was just to say goodbye before they left. They didn't have so much affection for each other. Leaving the Cloud Realm? Seems like the leader and the others are still young. "I can't lose." Xiaoping clenched his fist. Gushilai and the others were among the geniuses of the human race. Otherwise, they would not have been able to become transcendent realm experts with such resources and such an environment. If they went to the universe and had a little adventure, they might be able to soar to the sky. If they were dragons, they would become dragons no matter where they were. Let's cultivate and successfully cultivate the 7 Fiend True Dragon Roar. Chapter 1320. Several days later, in a quiet room, Xiaoping sat cross-legged on the ground. His body turned into a whirlpool of spiritual energy. The spiritual energy around him surged into the depths of his purple palace and was quickly converted into spiritual energy. It wasn't just spiritual energy. As he breathed, a powerful, baleful aura surged out from the depths of the space. This baleful aura was extremely terrifying. It contained the scent of blood, slaughter, madness, and many others. Just a trace of it was enough to drive an ordinary person crazy. It also specialized in breaking through one's earth energy. But under Xiaoping's devouring, this baleful aura was no different from ordinary spiritual energy. When it entered his body, it was instantly devoured by the flames, and its essence was absorbed. Boom! Just at this moment, the purple palace shook. A whirlpool of spiritual energy quickly appeared. In the depths of the whirlpool, a mysterious array appeared. It seemed to contain a true dragon that roared at the sky. Very quickly, the array whirlpool turned into a picture of a true dragon. It left the purple palace and entered Xiaoping's throat, causing his body to change. Roar! Xiaoping opened his eyes and mouth, letting out a roar. This was like the roar of a true dragon. The terrifying sound wave was filled with destructive power. With a boom, the entire room was filled with this sound wave. In an instant, it was shaken to pieces. The originally tough outer wall now had spiderweb-like cracks. Large amounts of rubble rolled down. Even the floor had more than 10 cracks. It was as if the entire room was about to be destroyed. And this was because Xiaoping was controlling his spiritual energy so that the room would be affected. If he used his full power, the entire giant island would probably be razed to the ground. This was the Dragon Clan's mystique, 7 Malice Dragon Roar. As expected of the Dragon Clan's mystique. It's too powerful. Xiaoping clenched his fist. After several days of cultivation, he had finally succeeded in condensing this mystique of the Dragon Clan. To successfully cultivate this sound wave mystique of the Dragon Clan, one needed to absorb the baleful aura of heaven and earth and integrate it into one's body. It was basically impossible for an ordinary person to successfully cultivate it. After all, once the baleful aura entered one's body, it would immediately corrode and cause the body to collapse. Only those with a body as strong as the Dragon Clan had the qualifications to successfully cultivate this mystique and resist the corrosion of baleful aura. If anyone else wanted to cultivate it, they would be courting death. However, the power of this divine ability was directly proportional to the difficulty of cultivating it. After fusing the 7 baleful chi and combining it with the true dragon's roar, the destructive power produced was incomparable. If he were to use his full strength, his roar would probably affect everything within 10,000 li. With his body as the center, everything within a range of 1,000 li would become a life-forbidden zone, corroded by baleful energy. Within 1,000 years, all ordinary creatures would die if they entered, as if they were exposed to nuclear radiation. I still don't have enough baleful aura. If I can find a large amount of pure baleful aura to devour and assimilate it in my body, I will definitely be able to raise the power of this mystique to an unimaginable level. Xiaoping's eyes shone brightly. He could sense that he had only succeeded in cultivating this Dragon Clan's sacred art. This sacred art still had a lot of potential to be unearthed. Plus, after successfully cultivating this technique, his chi increased quite a bit. He was heading towards the intermediate stage of the treasure crafting realm, and he was training his martial arts foundation. However, the heavenly world's law of heaven and earth is truly powerful. As expected, I can't unleash the power above the divine realm. Xiaoping wanted to mobilize the power of heaven and earth, but he found that the law of heaven and earth in this place was too strong. It was as if the power in his body had been sealed by an almighty being, and he could not unleash the power of the treasure crafting realm. This feeling was a bit uncomfortable. It was like an ordinary person's feet were shackled and could not unleash their own power. However, cultivating in this kind of environment was not necessarily a bad thing. He could feel some of his own shortcomings. Let's go out. It seems like I haven't left the quiet room for a long time. Xiaoping stood up and loosened his bones. Pa, pa, pa. Like the thunder of a tiger, he walked out of the quiet room and enjoyed the sunlight outside. As soon as he walked out of the quiet room, he discovered that Chu Rong, Zhang Yaru, Yu Chi-Chi, and Su Ji, the 4 women, were also waiting outside the living room. They were all happily eating their food. On the dining table, there was a dazzling array of food that exuded a pleasant aroma. These few days, they had been stuffing themselves with food as if to make up for the food they had not eaten for a year. Eating so much, aren't you afraid of getting fat? Xiaoping sat down on the side, not bothering to be polite. Are you asking for spanking? Chu Rong gave him a sidelong glance, her beautiful eyes revealing a trace of killing intent. He actually dared to say such unromantic words to a virtuous lady who was enjoying her food. If he wasn't asking for a spanking, then what was? She wanted to hammer him. Oomph. This princess has a physique that won't get fat no matter how much I eat. It's commonly known as natural beauty. Yuchichi picked up a piece of cream cake and started munching on it, looking at Xia Ping with a provocative expression. I can't tell that you're a natural beauty, but I can tell that you're thick-skinned, Xia Ping said with disdain. Yuchichi bared her teeth, wanting to throw the cake at him. Fat. Suji and Jiang Yaru both felt a bit guilty. They looked at their own figures, seemingly a bit concerned. He's not fat in other areas, but he's fat in a certain area. He's very fierce. Xiaoping rubbed his chin, looking up and down at Su Ji and Jiang Yaru's figures, feasting his eyes. Hey, pervert! Su Ji and Jiang Yaru's charming faces turned red and immediately spat at Xiaoping. They knew what this pervert was talking about, especially his gaze, as if he couldn't wait to strip them naked. That's right, pervert. Yuchichi seemed to have remembered something. She blinked her big watery eyes at Xiaoping and said, Do you have any extra equipment on you? We want to enter the universe virtual network to take a look. Hearing this, Jiang Yaru, Su Ji, and Chu Rong all nodded. They were very curious about the universe virtual network. This kind of technology was beyond their imagination. Entering the universe virtual network with one's consciousness was like descending with one's real body, and experiencing the virtual world was practically one of humanity's ultimate dreams. The current technology in the cloud realm was unable to achieve this. Of course, the most important thing was that if they could log into the universe virtual network, they would be able to communicate with extraterrestrials and experience the customs of the various parts of the universe. But without equipment, they couldn't log in. They could only look at it enviously. No problem. I have a few more here. We can go in and take a look later. Xiaoping casually replied as he picked up a soup bun and ate it. He suddenly remembered that it was also time for him to take a trip back to the universe virtual network. A year ago, he had borrowed money from those kids. Of course, to the current him, this amount of money was nothing. It was just a small amount. But he was a man of his word, so he definitely had to return the money. An hour later, Xiaoping ate and drank to his heart's content. He immediately took out the virtual equipment and threw it to Yuchichi and the others, then taught them how to use it. Chapter 1321. Universe Virtual Network, Far East City. Whoosh. After logging in, Xiaoping, Chu Rong, Yuchichi, Jiang Yaru, and Su Ji appear in the virtual city's teleportation point. Is this the virtual network's Marshall Dao space? It's so real. Yuchichi and the others gasped in amazement. They were like Granny Lu who had entered the Grandview Garden. They felt that this world was incomparably real, as though it was the real world. There were senses of taste, touch, smell, pain, and many more. Apart from not dying, this virtual world was no different from the real world. We can actually enter Far East City. Xiaoping raised his eyebrows because according to the patterns of the cities in the Marshall Dao space, they were divided into Lower City, Intermediate City, and Upper City. Among them, the Lower City could only be entered by Purple Mansion Realm, Fulfillment Realm, and Divine Realm cultivators. The Intermediate City could only be entered by Treasure Refining Realm, True Fire Realm, and Golden Core Realm cultivators. The Upper City could only be entered by Origin Realm, Transcendence Realm, and Thunder Calamity Realm cultivators. Far East City was actually a lower city. It could only accommodate Purple Mansion Realm, Fulfillment Realm, and Divine Realm cultivators. Beyond this range, cultivators would automatically enter the Intermediate City. But he had already advanced to Treasure Refining Realm. According to the rules, he couldn't enter a lower city, but now he could. Is it because of the suppression of Cloud World's rules? Xiaoping guessed. He thought about it, and the reason was probably above Cloud World. Due to the suppression of the Heaven and Earth rules in the Cloud Realm, his cultivation was suppressed to the pinnacle of the Divine Realm. It was as if his cultivation was sealed. Perhaps because of this, the Universe Virtual Network recognized him as a Divine Realm cultivator, allowing him to enter Far East City. But even if he could enter Far East City, he still felt that his cultivation was sealed at the peak of Divine Realm. He couldn't use the strength above Treasure Refining Realm. But even so, with his current strength, it was enough to be unrivaled in a lower city. But why do you want to change your appearance and name after entering the virtual space? And you want us to change our appearance and name as well? Jiang Yaru looked at Xia Ping with a puzzled face. Originally, they wanted to enter the virtual space with their real name and appearance. But under Xia Ping's dissuasion, they still changed their name and appearance and appeared in this place with different appearances. The main reason is that the universe is too dangerous. The world is dangerous. If I expose my name and appearance, wouldn't it be easy for my enemies to hunt me down? You have to be careful when you do things. Don't casually expose your identity. As a senior, Xia Ping spoke eloquently about the dangers of the universe. We usually keep a low profile and never make enemies with others. How can there be so many people seeking revenge? Tell me the truth. Did you do something infuriating in this place and make enemies everywhere? Yu Chi and the rest looked at Xia Ping suspiciously. They felt that Xia Ping was a restless scoundrel who would wreak havoc wherever he went, making enemies everywhere he went. They would find it strange if this guy stopped causing trouble one day. Of course not. I'm such a low-key person. How could I do something that would anger the heavens and people? You're wearing colored glasses. Xia Ping looked wronged, indicating that he was usually very low-key and would never cause trouble. Before he could finish his words, many people saw Xia Ping, and they all started to make a big fuss. Wu Wudi, you scoundrel, you still dare to come to Far East City? You got guts. A middle-aged man jumped out and glared at Xia Ping. He seemed to be unable to control the anger in his heart and wanted to rush up and beat Xia Ping up. But before he could rush up, the Far East City guards saw this situation and immediately restrained him. They stabbed him in the abdomen, causing him to fall to the ground and scream in pain. Even so, he still roared as if he wanted to beat Xia Ping up. We don't welcome swindlers like you here. Scram immediately. Return the money immediately. You swindler, do you still have any shame? Do you still have any shame? Many people roared and told Xia Ping to scram. All of them were very agitated and filled with righteous indignation. But this was the city's safe zone, so they didn't dare to make a move and could only shout. Compared to the time when they were scammed, the people of Far East City seemed to be even angrier, as if they wanted to tear Xia Ping apart. Actually, there was a reason for this. Previously, in order to earn money, Xia Ping had written a book called 36 Stratagems of Deception. In the end, this book sold well in the 4 major star fields and became a household name. As Far East City was the place where Xia Ping became famous, the things that happened here were also dug up by countless people and reported by a large number of reporters with exaggerated details. The result was as one could imagine. The people of Far East City were ridiculed by many, thinking that they were idiots with no brains. They were worried that the people of Far East City would be scammed even when they went out to buy a bottle of soy sauce. Many people looked at the people of Far East City as if they were looking at a retard, which made them even angrier. He hated Xia Ping, the instigator of all this, to the bone. He wanted nothing more than to beat this guy up and skin him alive. And you still say that you didn't cause any trouble? Why are there so many people who want to kill you? Yu Chi was speechless. This was truly a raging crowd. There was no lack of experts at the pinnacle of the transcendent realm. Being stared at by so many enemies, she felt as if her life was frozen in water. Although she knew that Xia Ping was a person who liked to cause trouble, she did not think that it would be so big and that he would have so many enemies. If she had known earlier, she would never have gotten together with this bastard. Now, she was simply inviting an undeserved disaster. No, these are all fans, people who worship me. It's just that their emotions are a little agitated. Xia Ping said arrogantly, refusing to admit it. Not just a little agitated, but there are also many people who want to chop you to death. If not for the city guard stopping you, you would have been chopped into pieces. Jiang Yaru's mouth twitched. Sai, this is the love of fans. It's just that the expression is a little new, but I can understand how they feel when they see their idol. Xia Ping stood with his hands behind his back. Is that so? Why do I hear so many people telling you to scram and return money? Just what have you done? Chu Rong gritted her teeth. She felt that Xia Ping had become the public enemy of the entire city. the kind that everyone wanted to beat up. It was no wonder that this bastard did not dare to reveal his true face. Even his name was hidden. If his true identity was exposed, there might be aliens coming to kill him from several starfields away. Those people are all anti-fans. They like to slander others, frame others, and stir up trouble. Just ignore them. As a celebrity, it's embarrassing to go out and meet others without anti-fans. I'm used to it. Xiaoping sighed. As a celebrity, he was surrounded the moment he went out. The pressure was a little big, but he could still bear it. I feel that your skin is thicker than the city walls. Chapter 13:22. Although the people of Far East City were clamoring, they knew that they couldn't do anything to Xiaoping in the Far East City safe zone. So they only clamored at the side, not daring to make a move. But even so, they were still eyeing Xiaoping covetously, seemingly looking for an opportunity to make a move. Chu Rong, Su Ji, Yu Chi-Chi, and Jiang Yaru quickly found out what Xiaoping had done in Far East City that caused the wrath of the heavens and the people. They even publicized this matter, causing many people to point fingers at them. One could imagine the hatred these people had for Xiaoping. They even had the heart to peel off his skin and pull out his tendons. Boom! At this moment, the entire Far East City suddenly stirred, even more chaotic than when Xiaoping appeared. Let's go. A Saint-Tier forging technique has appeared outside. The holder has already been discovered. Immediately go and snatch it, or else there won't be a chance. Someone roared with an excited expression. Hearing this, the people of Far East City were all excited. Even those who were watching Xiaoping and wanted to secretly make a move were alarmed and quickly left Far East City. What happened? Xiaoping's eyes flashed. He sensed that something big had happened in Far East City. Otherwise, it wouldn't have caused such an uproar in the entire Far East City. He used the power of his divine sense to silently infiltrate the surrounding crowd, trying to find out the news. Sure enough, this group of people were discussing this matter. So that's how it is. Xiaoping revealed a look of understanding. Through these people's simple descriptions, he finally knew what had happened. It turned out that someone was fighting monsters in the wild, and after killing a divine ability level beast, it unexpectedly dropped a Saint-Tier forging technique called the Distant Fire Forging Technique. This was a secret technique that described how to forge magic treasures. It was said that it was left behind by the ancient saint, the Distant Fire Ancestor. This secret technique had always been in the virtual world, and no one had ever found it. Compared to ordinary Saint-Tier cultivation techniques, Saint-Tier forging techniques were even more precious. Even Saint-Tier sects had very few of them. After all, with this kind of forging technique, one could forge a steady stream of powerful magic treasures. Even Saint-Tier weapons could be forged. Once one mastered this forging technique, one could immediately become a master blacksmith. At that time, even Saint-Tier sect would fight over you and let you become the sect's VIP. No matter what, top-notch blacksmiths were as rare as pandas. One could imagine how crazy the people of Far East City became after hearing this news. Every single one of them wanted to seize it and take it for themselves. This was a chance for them to reach the heavens in a single step, a chance to leap over the Dragon Gate. Not only the people from the Far East City, but the people from hundreds of nearby cities also heard the news. They all rushed here, hoping to snatch the secret skill. I didn't expect this news to be leaked. Xiaoping touched his chin. Normally, anyone who obtained such a precious secret technique from killing monsters would keep it a secret and not leak it out. The problem was that the secret technique was a spiritual inheritance unique to Patriarch Li Hua. Only one person could receive it. It was not hard to imagine that everyone in that team wanted to monopolize this secret technique. No one was willing to back down. In the end, the group of people killed each other, and in the end, one person obtained the Distant Fire Forging Technique. Who would have thought that those who had been defeated would not give up and immediately leak the news? As a result, countless cultivators found out about this and set off from the city to snatch the Distant Fire Forging Technique. Strange, if he obtained this secret skill, why didn't he go offline immediately? Jiang Yaru asked curiously. She felt that this was the virtual world, and she would not die anyway. If she immediately went offline, she could still keep the secret skill. He can't go offline in the wild. unless he commits suicide or is killed. Xiaoping shook his head. Once he goes offline, everything on him will be revealed, including this secret skill. Moreover, it's not realistic for him to learn immediately. After all, this is the inheritance of Patriarch Li Hua. It takes several days to accept the inheritance. If he is disturbed during this time, all his previous efforts will be wasted, and his spirit will be damaged. So, under the siege of so many people, he probably won't dare to go into seclusion to accept the inheritance. It was also because of this reason that the person who obtained the distant fire forging technique was being chased by countless people. He was hiding in the mountains and did not dare to show his face until now. If he dared to show his face, he would definitely be blasted into ashes. I see. Jiang Yaru and the others nodded, indicating that they understood. Distant fire forging technique? That's a pretty good secret skill. Xiaoping rubbed his chin. After advancing to the artifact refining realm, he could already try to forge artifacts. So, he still lacked a method to forge artifacts. This distant fire forging technique seemed to be very suitable for him. Although he had many powerful artifacts on him, after reaching the artifact refining realm, the most important thing was to forge his own natal artifact. This was the most powerful artifact. If he could successfully forge it, the natal artifact would continuously evolve along with his cultivation. In the end, it could even evolve into a sane artifact. Because it was connected to his heart and soul, he could continuously forge it. Therefore, a natal artifact was more suitable for him than any other artifact. It was also more powerful. Basically, all saints or almighty beings would have their own natal artifact. Looks like I'll have to go out into the wild and find that distant fire forging technique. Xiaoping made up his mind. He also wanted to get a share of the loot. There was no reason for him to give up the treasure in front of him. Moreover, with his current strength, there were not many people who could defeat him in a low-level city. Beep beep! At this moment, his communication device rang. Xiaoping subconsciously picked it up and immediately heard a naughty voice. Native Big Brother, where are you now? We're here to play with you. He opened the virtual projection, and a little loli appeared in front of him. Behind the little loli was a large group of brats. She was like the king of children. Xiaoping immediately recognized them. Wasn't this group of brats the ones he met in the novice village? It just so happened that he was planning to return all the money to this group of children. I'm currently in Far East City. He replied, Great, we can already leave the novice village. We'll go find you now. The little loli, Yi Jiajia, said excitedly. The other children's eyes were also shining. Then, she quickly hung up the phone with a snap. What? The corner of Xiaoping's mouth twitched. Left the novice village? Didn't that mean that they had already advanced to the Purple Mansion realm? Although he already knew that this group of brats wasn't simple, their advancement speed was too fast. Moreover, they were only 7 or 8 years old. Some are only 5 or 6 years old. They were simply monsters. If their situation was in the cloud realm, it was unknown how many people would be scared to death. Chapter 1323. Far East City. A group of brats ran out from the teleportation circle. Wow, is this a big city? The world where the adults live is so amazing. There are so many adults. Haha, it's better to leave that boring novice village. This place seems fun, but Mom doesn't allow us to play here. If we get found out, our butts will definitely bloom. Don't worry, we definitely won't get found out. We'll sneak in. Look, Big Bro Native is over there. Yeah, let's go. The group of brats shouted excitedly towards Far East City. It was as if they were seeing a panda for the first time. They quickly discovered Xiaoping nearby and ran over. Xiaoping, you bastard. Seeing this, Yu Chi-Chi shouted, It's only been a year and you've already gotten so many illegitimate children. Tell me, just how many extraterrestrial girls have you harmed in this year? What illegitimate children? Can they grow so big in a year? Don't think you could talk nonsense, just because you're fierce. Xiaoping said in a bad mood and knocked her on the head. Who knows what the aliens are made of? Who knows, they might grow like balloons in a year. What's so strange about that? Yu Chi-Chi said disdainfully. She wasn't lying. Among the many oceanids, there were some special fish demons that grew extremely fast. They could reach maturity in a year and completely mature. In the boundless universe, there were many more races than the Oceanids. It wasn't strange for such a race to appear. Jiang Yaru, Su Ji, and Chu Rong also looked at Xia Ping suspiciously. This scoundrel was famous for his philandering. Even if these children weren't his children, they could still be the younger siblings of those extraterrestrial girls he had flirted with. Big bro native, who are these big sisters? The little lowly Yi Jia looked at Yu Chi and the others with a puzzled expression. This was the first time she saw them. They're all my concubines. I brought them out to see the world, Xia Ping said carelessly. Concubines. Jiang Yaru, Chu Rong, Yu Chi, and Su Ji all gritted their teeth. Their beautiful eyes were about to spit fire. They simply wanted to roast this guy and eat him and add some cumin. Hello, sister-in-law. The group of wimpy kids greeted him politely. In an instant, Jiang Yaru and the other three's faces turned as red as tomatoes. Not bad. Xia Ping was very satisfied. This child was worth teaching. In the distance, a group of people from Far East City gnashed their teeth in anger. Damn it, this damned swindler even brought women when he came out. Moreover, he brought 4 of them along with him. This is too much. One of them clenched his teeth. He was extremely jealous and wanted nothing more than to replace him. He's rich now, with a net worth of billions. What's the big deal about bringing 4 people? Even 400 is nothing. If I had money, I would definitely indulge in sensual pleasures every night, leading a befuddled life. Some people spoke with jealousy, envy, and hatred. For 100, 4 of them will squeeze him dry in a single night. There have always been cows that die from plowing, not fields that are spoiled. Sooner or later, this guy will die on the bellies of these women. Some people cursed fiercely, hoping that Xia Ping would lose his masculinity as soon as possible, so that he wouldn't even be able to take off his clothes when he saw beauty. Only then would they feel better. Bullsh asterisk T, his net worth of billions is all because of swindling people. Without our hard-earned money, he wouldn't be as carefree as he is today. Just thinking about it makes me sullen. This guy takes our hard-earned money to eat and drink all day long. He lives in a luxurious mansion and takes care of young MO and female celebrities. He takes all the benefits. God is blind. Yeah, why doesn't God send down a bolt of lightning to strike him to death? Everyone was incomparably sullen. The more comfortable Xia Ping was, the more unhappy they were, because this bastard's happiness was built on top of their pain. All right, will this kid also choose to leave the city to fight for the distant fire forging technique? Suddenly, someone raised such a thought. How would he dare to go out? Doesn't he know how many people in Far East City want to kill him? That's right, he only dares to hide in Far East City. It's impossible for him to go out. Once he goes out, this kid will immediately be chopped into pieces by the angry crowd. Even if he won't die in the virtual world, it'll be enough to make him suffer. I want to see how he looks when he leaves Far East City. There will be a good show then. Many people sneered. They were looking forward to Xia Ping leaving Far East City. Without the safety zone's restriction, this kid wouldn't even know how he died. All right, don't call me a native. I have a name, Wu Wudi. On the other hand, Xia Ping educated the group of children. Got it, Big Brother Wu. The group of children patted their chests and were very obedient. Big Brother Wu. The little lowly Yi Jia immediately said, "When are you going to take us to fight the mountain bandits? We have been waiting for a long time." She looked at Xia Ping with big watery eyes. The other children were also excited. They worked so hard to advance to the Purple Mansion realm because they wanted to follow Xia Ping to fight the bad guys. Previously, when they worked together with Xia Ping to eliminate the group of mountain bandits, it made them reminisce for a long time. What mountain bandits? Don't you guys need to go to class? Xia Ping said casually. Our school has already started its summer vacation, so we have a lot of time. Yi Jia said proudly. Xia Ping rubbed his chin and thought for a moment. That's fine. Today I want to leave Far East City to catch a bad guy. You guys can come with me. He originally wanted to snatch the distant fire forging technique by himself, but it wasn't a big problem to bring these children along. Moreover, these children were all rich and powerful. If he could snatch the distant fire forging technique, he might be able to use their identity to stop other people with ulterior motives. Catch a bad guy. Hearing this, the eyes of the group of children lit up. They knew it would be interesting the moment they heard it. That's great. Yi Jia and the other children were excited. They couldn't wait to set off. All right, then let's go. Xiaoping snapped his fingers and walked towards the city gate of Far East City. The group of children followed behind him excitedly. Jiang Yaru and the others looked at each other helplessly. They felt as though they had entered kindergarten and had to take care of a group of little brats. But they weren't particularly worried about this mission. They had seen Xiaoping's strength before. No matter how dangerous the situation was, he could always turn misfortune into fortune. Not long after, they left Far East City. Oh my God, that Wu Wudi actually left. He's courting death. He's courting death. Even the heavens want to destroy him. This is the will of the heavens. How long have we waited? Finally, this brat has the chance to court death. The heavens aren't being kind to me. Immediately inform the other brothers to join forces and surround the great swindler Wu Wudi. Chapter 1324. At this moment, the news of Xiaoping leaving Far East City and heading to the wilderness shook Far East City. Countless people knew about it, especially some dark organizations, and they were eager to make a move. For example, the Black Tiger Gang was the largest gang in Far East City. At the same time, it was also a dark organization in the real world. They killed people like flies and made people tremble with fear. Boss, that swindler Wu Wudi finally left the city. Haha, after waiting for him for so long, we finally have this opportunity. I heard that he published a book that sold more than 100 million. Now, he has at least 7 billion universe dollars. Damn, how can this son of a bitch earn so much? Our Black Tiger Gang works hard and hangs our heads on our waist every day, but we don't earn that much. He just wrote something, and he earns so much. It's too much. Hee, isn't this better? Wouldn't a rich person like him, who had no strength, be the biggest fat sheep? If we capture this guy and blackmail him, we might be able to earn a few billion. Many members of the Black Tiger Gang revealed ferocious and greedy looks. They all wanted to capture Xiaoping immediately and blackmail him to plunder his money, because the wealth of a few billion universe dollars was too shocking. Usually, only big clans could take out so much money, and those people were all top experts. Wu Wudi seemed to be only at the Purple Mansion realm. If such a person wasn't a fat sheep, then who was? Although Wu Wudi was famous, he was still a swindler. Swindlers would only make people angry, but they wouldn't be respected. But this is the virtual world. Even if we can capture him, if he commits suicide, he can immediately return to the real world. At that time, I'm afraid he will hide and not appear. How can we blackmail him? Some members felt that this matter was not reliable. If it was in the real world, they could threaten Wu Wudi's life, but in the virtual world, he wouldn't die. How could they threaten him? Humph. The leader of the Black Tiger Gang, Lu Hu, sneered. Don't worry, I already thought of this. Look at what this is. He took out a silver-white needle from his body, which emitted a terrifying cold air. The surrounding people couldn't help but shiver when they saw it. This was a bone-chilling cold. Everyone took a few steps away from Lu Hu, afraid of being frozen by this cold air. My God, isn't this the Ice Soul Silver Needle? Leader, how did you get such a precious thing? What? It's actually the legendary Soul Freezing Silver Needle. It's said that it's a one-time use secret treasure with great power that can harm the souls of living beings. It's extremely terrifying. Once you're hit, your soul will be frozen and you'll die. Many of the sect members were filled with wariness, and fear appeared in their eyes. Maybe you guys know that the Universe Virtual Network is a space between the virtual and the real. That's why it's so real. To a certain extent, it's the real space. The leader of the Black Tiger Gang, Lu Hu, said, and when we enter this virtual space, it is also with our souls. Therefore, every time we die here, our souls will be severely injured, and it will take at least a few months to recover. Therefore, this also means that if there is a secret technique or magical equipment that attacks the soul, even in the virtual world, it can heavily injure the opponent's soul or even kill them. His eyes were filled with murderous intent. Many of the gang members sucked in a breath of cold air. They had originally thought that the universe virtual network was completely safe, but hearing Lu Hu's words, it seemed like it wasn't. There were still many ways to kill people in a universe virtual network. Leader, this soul, freezing silver needle doesn't seem to be a virtual magical equipment, but a real magical equipment. How did it get in? A gang member asked curiously. He didn't understand. Stupid. Lu Hu sneered. Didn't you guys hear what I said just now? This virtual space is actually a unique, illusory universe space. As long as you pay a certain price, even if it's a real magical equipment, you can come in and even take it out. What? Everyone was shocked. They didn't think that there would be such a thing. They originally thought that the magical equipment here were virtual magical equipment and couldn't be taken out at all. But hearing Lu Hu say this, the magical equipment here could actually be taken out of the real world. This was too unbelievable. Everyone in intermediate cities knows about this, so it's not a big secret. However, not many people in intermediate cities know about this because they aren't qualified. I only found out about this matter because I know a few seniors, Shifeng said with a smile. Lu Hu said, of course, not all magic treasures can be taken out of the martial Dao space. Only some special and powerful magic treasures have the qualifications to do so. There aren't many of such magic treasures, but each one is extremely precious. In short, there are too many mysteries in the universe virtual network. Even a sage can't exhaust it. This is why countless cultivators in the universe are eager to enter the virtual network. And this time, in order to bring the soul-freezing silver needle in, I paid a huge price. I originally wanted to use it to kill my enemy, but now in order to deal with Wu Wudi, it's not a bad idea to take it out in advance to deter the other party. His eyes flickered. Although the soul-freezing silver needle was very precious, and he paid a huge price to bring it into the martial arts space, it was still worth it compared to billions of universe dollars. That's great, leader. With the soul-freezing silver needle in hand, that kid has to give in. That's right. As long as that kid doesn't want to die, he has to obediently hand over his treasures. Haha, we're rich. We're rich this time. To think that this swindler would have such a day. Let's let him have a good taste of what is called power. Any tricks and conspiracies are just a joke in the face of absolute power. How can a swindler beat a robber? He's dead for sure. Many of the Black Tiger gang members sneered. They seemed to see Wu Wudi being captured by them, and then panicking and dying. Let's go and capture Wu Wudi. The leader of the Black Tiger gang, Lu Hu, gave the order. Yes, leader. A group of gang members shouted excitedly. But in addition to the Black Tiger gang, there were also many gangs in Far East City, even in other low-level cities, and disciples of large clans who planned to capture Wu Wudi. Because Wu Wudi's wealth was too shocking, worth billions of universe dollars. Ordinary small clans couldn't afford so much money, which was an astronomical figure. If Wu Wudi was an almighty, then naturally no one would dare to have any ideas. But he was just a Purple Mansion realm cultivator, and he had so much money. It was like a child holding gold and swaggering through the streets, and anyone would covet it. Chapter 1325. At this moment, Xiaoping led a group of people and left Far East City, heading towards the wilderness. But not long after they left Far East City, they were immediately blocked by a group of fiendish-looking people. This group of people were members of various underground organizations in Far East City. They had received orders from their gang to stop Xiaoping. If they had the chance, they could even capture Xiaoping, knock him out, and take him away. Yu Qiqi, Chu Rong, Su Ji, and Jiang Yar all clenched their teeth. They already knew that following Xiaoping would not be a good thing, but they were targeted the moment they walked out. The other party's ferocious appearance did not look like they were treating them to a meal. What do you guys want? Don't do anything rash. My status is extremely high, and if you guys dare to make a move, be careful that your boss will kill you. I'm someone you can't afford to offend. Xiaoping stood with his hands behind his back, looking like he had a powerful background. He gave off the aura of a powerful person and loudly berated them. The group of people looked at Xiaoping with disdain. Some even rolled their eyes. They had long heard that this guy was a damn liar, proficient in all sorts of things. Now that they saw it, It was indeed true. Facing their encirclement, this guy was actually not afraid and even boasted that he had a powerful background. If it was a normal person, they might really be scared by this guy. Most importantly, they were called over by their boss to block this kid's path. Offend my ass. You better obediently stay here and wait for my boss to come. If you dare to act rashly, you'll suffer later. You're just a liar, and you still want to brag, saying that you have a powerful background. Aren't you afraid of blowing your own trumpet? Obediently stay here, or else you'll wish you were dead. Do you understand? Don't force me to be rough. You won't be able to stand it. The group of people stared at Xia Ping with murderous intent. They subconsciously surrounded him. Don't move, or else I'll go crazy. When I go crazy, even I'm afraid of myself. Xia Ping waved his hand, stopping the group of people from coming over and giving them a warning. He still looked like an otherworldly expert. Show off my ass. I want to see just how awesome you are. I really can't stand looking at you for even a second. I'll beat you up first. A few people couldn't stand it. They had great enmity with Xia Ping. Previously, Xia Ping had cheated him of hundreds of thousands of universe dollars to buy shoes. Now, he had made up for this loss. On the other hand, this swindler was doing very well and had become a famous writer, earning billions of universe dollars. Looking at them now, they had even brought along a few concubines to go on an outing. Their lives were so comfortable. How could they stand such a thing? Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. In an instant, 5 or 6 people made their moves. Naturally, they split up and surrounded him. Xia Ping didn't even look at it. He suddenly punched out. Dong! This punch surged with all the mana in his body, causing the air to tremble thousands of times. The force of the punch quickly spread out like a tide, spreading in all directions. The terrifying pressure formed by this punch seemed to have turned the area into a vacuum. These 5 or 6 people let out a shrill scream. They felt that the fist force of this punch was extremely terrifying. It contained the power of a vortex that penetrated into their lungs. Even if they were wearing defensive artifacts, it was useless. In the next second, their bodies couldn't withstand this force and immediately exploded. They turned into a cloud of blood mist in midair and disappeared from the virtual world just like that. What? The surrounding people were shocked and subconsciously took a few steps back. Expert, this was definitely an incredible expert. He could kill 6 people working together with a single punch. These 6 people weren't weak either. They were at least fulfillment realm cultivators, and one of them was even at the divine ability realm. No matter how they looked at it, Wu Wudi should have been defeated. Who would have thought that it was these 6 people who were killed with a single punch? They couldn't even struggle. How is this possible? Didn't they say that this kid is only at the Purple Mansion realm? This kind of strength is at least at the divine ability realm. Could it be that this kid has made great progress in this year? Even if it is an improvement, it's too exaggerated. Advancing from the Purple Mansion realm to the divine ability realm in a year? Is this a joke? Even a disciple of the Saint class sect can't do such a thing. Nothing is impossible. Who doesn't know that this kid has earned billions of cosmic dollars? Isn't it easy to use this money to buy some precious elixirs and spirit herbs to improve his cultivation? What kind of medicine did he take to improve to such a level? Everyone was envious and jealous. Originally, this guy's cultivation was mediocre and not worth mentioning. He was just like cannon fodder. But now, because he earned so much money and went around taking elixirs, he actually advanced to the divine ability realm in a year. This kind of improvement speed was simply unbelievable. But because of this, their desire for Xia Ping's wealth increased. If they also had this much money, they would have a high chance of advancing to the Thunder Tribulation realm. If they were lucky, they might even have a chance of becoming a saint. But before they could continue dreaming, Xia Ping rushed forward. Once he made his move, it was unstoppable and thunderous. Oh no! This group of people's expressions changed drastically as they felt an unprecedented pressure. Countless fist prints appeared in midair, each containing the ultimate power of the divine ability and extremely destructive power. Dong! 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 Immediately, dozens of people could not withstand it and were directly blown up by the fist, shattering in midair. Even the ground could not withstand such a huge force. Immediately, holes were blasted out, soil splattered everywhere, cracks spread, and stone mountains in the distance collapsed from the force. Oh no, run. This guy is troublesome. Quickly ask for help and call the boss over. The target's strength is extraordinary. We've been tricked this time. This kid is pretending to be weak. Everyone shouted in horror. Now, they finally realized why Wu Wuti dared to walk out of Far East City and was not afraid of their revenge. There was no other reason than his strength. The other party was tyrannical and did not fear their powerful strength at all. Naturally, he could do whatever he wanted in a low-grade city. Rumble. Xiaoping attacked like a tiger entering a flock of sheep. In just a few breaths, the group of people who tried to block his way were all wiped out, leaving not a single one alive. Moreover, his breathing was not chaotic, and his magic power was not consumed much. It was as if he was doing a warm-up exercise. At this time, there was also a pile of treasures on the ground, which were all dropped after these people died. This was also the horror of the wilderness. Once they died, all the treasures on them would be dropped, leaving nothing behind. Therefore, every time they went out into the wilderness, everyone was very careful. After careful calculation, if these treasures were sold, Xiaoping could get at least 10 million universe credits. Brother Wu is so powerful. A group of little kids looked at Xiaoping in admiration. They felt that with Xiaoping's protection, they could do whatever they wanted here. Let's go. Chapter 1326. Along the way, Xiaoping also encountered a few waves of enemies, but they were all easily eliminated by him, completely shocking the group of people who wanted to cause trouble for him. Damn it, is this kid a monster? How can he be so powerful? What kind of drugs did he take? He's clearly only at the divine realm. How can he be so powerful? Those saints and saintesses of the saint-class sects are just SOSO. He dares to call himself Wu Di. Does he really have invincible strength? Bullsh asterisk T. Even saints don't dare to call themselves Wu Di. How can this liar be qualified? Even if he's not invincible, his strength is not something we can provoke. No wonder this kid dares to run amok and dare to leave Far East City. He has some skills. Who cares how many skills he has? Two fists can't fight four hands. When our boss arrives, a bunch of people can surround him. Many people gritted their teeth. During the process of the chase, they suffered heavy losses. Most of the ambushers were killed, and they couldn't log into the virtual network for a few months. Even the treasures on them had been plundered by Xiaoping. They had suffered a double loss. Thinking of this, their hatred for Xiaoping deepened by another level. Even so, with several shocking achievements, those people realized that Xiaoping was troublesome. If they didn't have the strength to provoke Xiaoping, it would be purely courting death. It was a meaningless suicide. Therefore, they quickly retreated and didn't continue to ambush Xiaoping. Along the way, it became incomparably quiet. Not many people dared to cause trouble for Xiaoping. However, there were also many people secretly watching the whereabouts of Xiaoping and the others. They were like tigers eyeing their prey, like poisonous snakes, waiting for the large group to gather and then kill Xiaoping in one fell swoop. Is the person who obtained the fiery forging art in this area? Xiaoping followed the large group and came to a mountain range. There were mountains everywhere, one after another. The vast area was like a huge mountain range that stretched for thousands of miles. According to the information he received along the way, the person who obtained the fiery forging art was surrounded by a large number of people in this mountain range. That person was surrounded to the point where there was no way out. He basically couldn't escape from this encirclement. But even so, this mountain range was vast. It was like a drop of water entering the ocean. Trying to find a person was like looking for a needle in a haystack. Because of this, it had been 20 days since the news of the distant fire forging art appeared, but nobody had been able to track him down. There's so many people. Jianyar aside, as far as the eye could see, there were people searching everywhere. There were at least hundreds of thousands of them, and who knew how many more people had entered the depths of the mountain range. How are we going to find him in such a big place? Yu Qiqi felt that Xiaoping did not have much of an advantage. The enemy had formed a large group, and their numbers exceeded 10,000. They had even conducted a carpet search, but they still could not find that person. Just a few people around Xiaoping wanted to find the other party? Wasn't this nonsense? She felt that they would definitely return empty-handed. That's a piece of cake. Xiaoping wasn't worried about this at all. It was naturally extremely difficult for ordinary people to find a person who was proficient in the art of concealment, but he had the system. No matter how deep the enemy hid, he could easily find them. System, help me find a person who obtained the distant fire forging art. Xiaoping immediately asked. The system replied, easy, you need to spend 5 million hatred points. Exchange. Xiaoping did not hesitate. As long as he could find the person who obtained the distant fire forging art, he could obtain the Saint grade forging art. A mere 5 million hatred points was nothing. Boom! In the next second, a stream of information immediately poured into Xiaoping's mind. Is this the place? It doesn't seem to be very far from me, and the other party seems to be very bold. Xiaoping raised his eyebrows. A young man with a protruding mouth and monkey cheeks appeared in his mind. What surprised him was that the other party actually dared to openly search the crowd and did not hide in the depths of the mountains at all. But it was precisely because of his bold behavior that no one suspected that he was the person who obtained the distant fire forging art, making him extremely safe. If he didn't meet me, he might have really slipped away. If he met me, then he's out of luck. Xiaoping touched his chin. He already knew where the other party was. Thinking of this, he said to Zhang Yaru and the others, you guys wait for me in a secret place nearby. I'll go and catch that kid right now. It'll be quick. What? Zhang Yaru, Yu Qiqi, Su Ji, and Chu Rong were all dumbfounded. What did he mean by wait for him in a secret place? He'll be able to catch the person who obtained the distant fire forging art very soon. What a joke. If it was that easy to catch the other party, there wouldn't be so many people coming out in full force to carry out a carpet search. Now that this guy said such words, it was as easy as catching the kid to eat and drink. But before they could say anything, Xiaoping had already left in a flash. At this moment, in another place, a large group of people were searching for traces of the distant fire forging art. They were all rogue cultivators from all over the world. After hearing the news, they gathered together in twos and threes. They hoped to try their luck. If they could obtain the distant fire forging art, then they would be rich. Damn it, where's that guy hiding? Why can't I find him anywhere? He's really good at hiding. It's already been 20 days, but not even a shadow has been seen. Someone gnashed his teeth. Don't tell me the guy has already left this mountain range and returned to the safe zone. Someone suspected that the other party had already returned to the safe zone and was just doing useless things. It's impossible. Someone shook his head. All the major powers have already sealed off the cities. Everyone who enters and exits the safe zone is guarded. If that kid dares to return to the safe zone, he'll definitely be discovered. He definitely won't be able to escape. This is really taking drastic measures. They've already guarded the entrance to the safe zone. Where else can that kid escape to? It's simply impossible for him to escape. Many people sighed. This was the terror of the major powers. With a single order, they could mobilize resources that ordinary people couldn't imagine. But this kind of thing can't last long. If they don't find anything for a long time, those major powers won't continue to waste time sealing off the safe zone. After all, it costs too much manpower and resources. Even the major powers can't afford it. Someone said in a deep voice, once this limit is exceeded, I'm guessing many powers will give up. After all, for the major powers, the Saint grade forging art is certainly precious, but there's no reason for them to continue wasting time. The benefits aren't proportional to the effort. So, we must find that kid as soon as possible and end the battle quickly. Otherwise, he'll really escape. He wore a serious expression. Of course. The group of people nodded their heads. A bunch of fools. You think you can catch me? What a joke. Among the crowd, an inconspicuous young man with a protruding mouth and monkey-like cheeks sneered and looked at the group disdainfully. Chapter 13:27. Hosen used to be an ordinary rogue cultivator. However, his fate changed 20 days ago. While he was fighting a monster, the monster suddenly dropped a Saint tier skill book, the distant fire forging technique. As expected, the fragile rogue cultivator team immediately broke out in internal strife and killed each other. In the end, Ho-san won, and the others died. However, he did not expect his partners to be so crazy that they would not let him get anything even if they could not get it themselves. Therefore, the news spread quickly. The news spread so fast that he was surrounded by a group of people in the mountain before he returned to the safe zone, and he could not return to the safe zone. Fortunately, he was proficient in disguise and was good at changing his appearance. He used his presence as a passerby to sneak into a rogue cultivator team who was searching for the distant fire forging technique. Obviously, Ho-san's plan was very successful. He sneaked into the search team without being noticed, and the others did not know that he was among them. On the other hand, the group of people looked for remote places such as caves and valleys, so naturally, they returned empty-handed. Soon, we'll be able to leave soon. Ho-san suppressed his excitement. After spending 20 days together, he had become familiar with the members of the team. He even hinted for the team to slowly come to the periphery of the mountain. As long as he found an excuse to sneak out of the team later, he would be able to escape without being noticed and escape from the encirclement. He believed that nobody would suspect an ordinary person like him. Just you wait, Shaoli. When I completely master the distant fire forging technique, you'll regret rejecting my pursuit. At that moment, Ho-san thought about the goddess who rejected his pursuit, and he immediately gritted his teeth. He recalled the contemptuous look in the goddess's eyes when she rejected him, as if she was saying that he was a toad lusting after a swan's flesh. Of course, he was indeed mediocre in the past, and he could even be considered a good-for-nothing because almost everyone could bully him. However, things will be different from now on. After obtaining the distant fire forging technique, he would definitely become an incredible blacksmith master in the future. He might even become a guest of many large sects and be respected by people. If you ignore me today, I'll make you unworthy of me tomorrow. Ho-san almost drooled at the thought of this. He imagined himself successfully cultivating the distant fire smithing art, becoming a respected smithing master, and reaching the pinnacle of his life. When the goddess, Shaoli, found out about this, she was filled with regret. She cried and shouted that she wanted to marry him. She even said that she had liked him for a long time. What she said before was just a test of sincerity. Now, she had passed the test. As for such a shameless B*TCH, he naturally kicked her away. How could a man like him, who stood at the pinnacle of his life, care about such a woman? He still had a good life ahead of him. Forget it. After thinking about it carefully, he decided not to kick her for now. He would agree to her request for the time being. When he was tired of playing with this bitch, he would kick her away and let her taste the pain of being abandoned. Ho-san almost laughed out loud when he thought of this. Ho-san, what are you thinking? I'm talking to you. Can't you hear me? Is there something wrong with your ears? With a slap, a big man next to him slapped Ho-san's shoulder. The pain immediately woke him up from his fantasy. Damn it, this dog doesn't know what respect is. Ho-san was so angry that his face turned red. He felt pain all over his body from the slap, and his bones almost cracked. He knew that this guy was the leader of this team, and he used his strength to slap people everywhere. Previously, as a member of the team, he was ordered around and slapped everywhere like a ball. If he could, Ho-san simply wanted to slap the big man. He even wanted to scold him on the spot. Did this B*star know how great a figure he was? Ho-san secretly made up his mind that the first thing he would do when he became a forging master in the future was to get rid of this big man. However, now was the time to act cowardly. He immediately smiled obsequiously and said, "Boss, I'm sorry. I suddenly need to go to the bathroom. Can I go to the bathroom nearby?" "What? Go to the bathroom? Why didn't you go when you were resting just now? Lazy people really need to pee too much. Forget it, go ahead. Come back quickly. We'll set off later." The big man scolded. He was very dissatisfied with Ho-san's request. He felt that this guy did not respect him, the temporary leader, very much. F***. I'm going to run later. Ho-san wanted to spit on him immediately, but when he thought that he was going to escape soon, he could not be bothered to argue with this stupid guy. Sure enough, because he looked too ordinary, The others did not know that Ho-san had secretly left. Some of them did not even know that Ho-san once existed. Whoosh! A few minutes later, Ho-san immediately left the team. Like a runaway horse, he quickly fled out of the mountain range. He did not stop along the way. Soon, he ran to the edge of the mountain range. He could even see the grassland in the distance. It was lush, full of vitality, thriving, and full of a fresh aura. Ho-san felt that he was getting closer and closer to freedom. He was so happy that his heart almost jumped out of his chest. This was what it meant to be a bird flying in the sky and a fish swimming in the sea. The feeling of freedom was really great. "Brother, please wait a moment." Suddenly, a voice sounded behind him. Who was it? Ho-san's hair stood on end. He was originally in a state of being chased, and he was tense. He was constantly paying attention to the wind and grass around him, afraid that he would be caught. However, what exactly was going on? Why could someone get close to him without making a sound? He could not sense the person's aura at all. Was it friend or foe? His neck was stiff, and he turned his head like a robot to see who stopped him. However, as soon as Ho-san turned his head, his eyes almost popped out of their sockets because a red brick was fiercely smashing toward his head. It whistled and whistled through the air. Dong! Before he knew what was going on, the brick hit his head hard. Then, his consciousness went dark as if he had fallen into an endless abyss. He did not even have the time to scream. He fainted and fell to the ground. The person who did it was none other than Xiaoping. He had tracked Ho-san all the way and finally found him. Without hesitation, he struck the fella and knocked him out with the brick. Smack, smack! Xiaoping patted the dust on his hands and searched Ho-san's body for a while. He immediately found a jade slip. Found it. Is this the inheritance of the distant fire smithing art? Chapter 1328. After an unknown amount of time, Ho-san slowly woke up. It hurts. As soon as he woke up, he immediately felt an intense pain on his forehead. It felt as if someone had smashed his head open. There was a huge bump on his forehead, and blood was still flowing out. What's going on? What exactly happened? Ho-san's consciousness was still a little blurry. He could only vaguely remember that before he passed out, he seemed to have seen a brick smashing fiercely on his forehead. Wait, a brick! He woke up with a start and instinctively touched his trouser pocket. His heart instantly turned cold. Ignis forging art. Where's my Ignis forging art? Did it get snatched by that bastard who smashed my brick? Ho-san screamed. His face turned green as if a toad had been stuffed into his mouth. After all, the Ignis forging art was his capital to make a comeback. It was what he relied on to reach the pinnacle of his life, but now it was gone. He had lost everything. It was like drawing water with a sieve. Wait, what's this? Ho-san quickly noticed that there was a rock beside him, and there were some words written on it. Ignis forging art. This item is fated with me, so I'm here to take it. Please forgive me. It was signed, Wu Wudi, F*CK, your forgiveness. Ho-san was mad as he gritted his teeth. What did he mean by this item was fated with him? Could he snatch it away just because it was fated? According to this logic, all the treasures in the universe were fated with him. Did that mean he could snatch them away? It was the first time he had seen such a shameless person. It was clearly a robbery, but he made it sound so fresh and refined. The guy was simply too thick-skinned. God d*** a minute. My mask, my dagger, and the talismans that I spent a lot of money on. Why are they all gone? Why are they all gone? Ho-san screamed. However, he soon realized that not only did he lose the Ignis forging art, but a few of his treasures, including his mask and other treasures, had also disappeared. He was now clean. Apart from his clothes, he had nothing else on him. Even some of his dry food had been taken away. It could be said that his wealth was even cleaner than his face. He was back to square one in a day. Wu Wudi, you and I are absolutely irreconcilable. You even took my dry food. Do you still have any humanity? Was he shameless? Why didn't you just leave me a pair of underpants? Ho-san was furious. His heart was filled with hatred. He looked up to the sky and let out a long howl. He wanted nothing more than to cut Wu Wudi into pieces. This little thief had no conscience at all. He felt that encountering that bastard was simply like being baptized by locusts. Even the Taodai clan wasn't as greedy as him and didn't leave a single cent for him. Moreover, what made him even more furious was that this brat was boundlessly arrogant and looked down on others too much. He had clearly snatched away his things, yet he actually dared to leave his name behind. Just how much did he look down on him? Did he think that even if he left his name, he would not be able to take revenge on this bastard? Ho-Sen gritted his teeth. The hatred in his heart was indescribable, but if he met that bastard Wu Wudi, he would definitely fight him to the death. At this time, Xiaoping sprinted all the way and arrived at a valley. This was the place where he, Jiang Yaru, and the others had agreed to meet. But as soon as he entered the valley, he felt a somber atmosphere. At this moment, Jiang Yaru, the others, and a group of children were actually surrounded by a large number of fiendish villains. They were all wielding spears, broadswords, axes, and other weapons. Many of them had scars on their faces or were bald. One look, and anyone could tell that these people were vicious and not good people. They were definitely the kind that killed people like flies. Because a large number of people had come to this mountain range to search for the distant fire forging technique, such a large number of people also came over to watch. They were curious about what was going on. The Black Tiger Gang is here on business. Unrelated people should leave immediately, or else we will kill without mercy. A bald man shouted angrily. His murderous aura was extremely domineering as he stared at the group of people around him. The Black Tiger Gang? The surrounding people were all shocked. Of course, they had heard of the Black Tiger Gang. It was a famous underground organization in Far East City. It was a leading organization with many subordinates. Even in the real world, this organization was a local tyrant that ruled over an entire planet. Although it was nothing to the real big shots, it was definitely a great power that could not be provoked by the lower class. Not to mention the fact that the other party was an underworld figure that would seek revenge for the smallest grievance. If they provoked the other party, they were afraid that they would be in big trouble. Many people immediately retreated. They definitely could not get involved in this mess. However, there were also people who were very unhappy. After all, they dared to come here to search for the distant fire forging technique. There were people who were very confident in their own strength. There were many arrogant people who could not stand such arrogant words. Wait, isn't that the leader of the Black Tiger Gang, Lu Hu? He's actually here too. Someone shouted. He recognized the 2-meter-tall bald man in the crowd. The man's body emitted the aura of a ferocious tiger. He stood out from the crowd and was unforgettable. Anyone who saw this man would know that he was not someone to be trifled with. They had heard that Lu Hu was an expert at the peak of the transcendent realm. He was only a step away from the artifact refining realm. This kind of strength was definitely second to none in a low-level city. Seeing this situation, many people stopped talking. Since Lu Hu had appeared here, it meant that the Black Tiger Gang had sent out all their elites. There was no need for them to offend such a great power. Dong! Lu Hu stood in front and stared at Jiang Yaru and the others. He asked in a muffled voice, "Where's Wu Wudi? Where is he? Why isn't he with you?" He was very confused. According to the report from his subordinates, Wu Wudi had been with this group of people. He hurried over only to find that Wu Wudi had disappeared. He immediately felt very annoyed. If Wu Wudi disappeared and returned to Far East City, he was afraid that he would not find such a good opportunity next time. He would never allow such a thing to happen, because he had mobilized so many people and paid a huge price to take out the Frost Soul Silver Needles. How could he accept this kind of thing? It's none of your business. Jiang Yaru and the others coldly snorted. They did not plan to say anything. That's right. Big Baldy, don't think that you can scare people just because you're tall. Yes, I can beat 10 of you. You'd better leave immediately. Otherwise, we'll be angry. When we're angry, even we're afraid of ourselves. A group of young boys and Lolas shouted and grinded their little canine teeth, looking very ferocious. Suddenly, many of the Black Tiger Gang members roared with laughter. They were just a group of children, but they dared to threaten them, the members of the Black Tiger Gang who killed people like flies. Sure enough, the ignorant were fearless. Chapter 1329. You don't want to say it? Lu Hu sneered. You're quite loyal to that brat, but I hope you can still say those words later. After I capture you, I'll let you have a taste of what it means to wish you were dead." Killing intent surged from his body. For an underworld tyrant like him, it didn't matter if it was a woman, a child, or even his family. As long as they stood in his way, they would be killed without exception. This is the virtual network. Do you think you can threaten me with such words? As long as I want to, I can kill myself and leave at any time. Yu Chi said disdainfully. She felt that these people were threatening the wrong person. If this was the real world, they might be a little afraid. But this was the virtual world, and no one would die. What was there to be afraid of? Kill yourself and leave? Do you think you have such a chance? It's impossible to kill you, but capturing you alive is easy. Lu laughed cruelly. Once I catch you, I'll torture you until you wish you were dead. The feeling in the virtual network is the same in the real world. You'll feel the same pain. And you're women. This time, my brothers will let you experience the joy of being a woman. I hope you can bear it. His eyes were very fierce. Although the frost silver needle could kill people in the virtual network, it could only kill one person. He wouldn't waste such a precious treasure. This was a trump card that would only be used at a critical moment. Hee. Although these women look ordinary, they'll be the same after the lights are turned off. I heard that they're all Wu Woody's women. Wouldn't he be cuckolded if he *ked them? How satisfying. Wu Woody lied to countless people, but he still ended up like this. This is retribution. Thank you, boss, for giving us the chance to reward us. Girls, I'll let you have a good time later. I guarantee it'll be a memorable experience. Many members of the Black Tiger gang snickered as they sized up Jiang Yaru and the others. That was because Jiang Yaru and the others were no longer in their original appearances. They had become incomparably ordinary, without any breathtaking beauty. But to these ruthless gangsters, as long as they were women, they didn't care about their looks. These bastards, Jiang Yaru and the others' gazes turned cold, but they didn't feel the slightest bit of fear in their hearts. At most, they would just commit suicide and leave the virtual network. However, they still wanted to teach these rude people a lesson. Judja and the others were also very angry. They felt that these people were all bad people. Go capture them. Lu Hu didn't even look at them. He gave the order to capture these little fellows. There was no need for him to do anything. If the boss was required to do everything, then what was the point of having subordinates? Yes, boss. Immediately, 20 to 30 people flew out from the crowd. They were all at least in the fulfillment realm, and there were 5 or 6 who were in the early stage of the divinity realm. Their attitude was very relaxed, as if they were on a field trip. They didn't put Jiang Yaru and the others in their eyes at all. Little girl, come over here obediently. A group of Black Tiger gang members spread out like wolves and tigers, wanting to capture Jiang Yaru and the others in an instant. Their palms contained tyrannical magical power. This was a unique chi-sealing capture technique. If an enemy was caught, they would immediately be able to seal their meridians. They wouldn't be able to use their magical power at all. They would be like little chicks, unable to resist at all. But when they were 10 meters away from Jiang Yaru and the others, a terrifying gravity suddenly appeared in the air, crushing down on them like mountains. Dong! In the next second, they were like birds without wings. They fell from the sky and were pressed to the ground, unable to move. Even the air around them was distorted. A shocking human-shaped hole appeared on the ground. The Black Tiger gang members' faces were twisted. They wanted to struggle with all their might, but they couldn't do anything. What? Such a turn of events had also stunned the surrounding people, especially Lu Hu and the other Black Tiger gang members. They were also dumbfounded, not knowing what was going on. Big Brother Wu, Judja and the others shouted excitedly. They noticed a figure descending from the sky, landing in front of them in an instant. Jiang Yaru and the others also breathed a sigh of relief. Finally, the bad guy had returned. With Xiaoping here, they believed that these criminals wouldn't dare to act rashly. Wu Wudi, Lu Hu's pupils shrank. He stared at the young man who suddenly appeared. He was instantly shocked. Even with his peak transcendent cultivation, he couldn't sense Xiaoping's aura. This was a little unusual. He felt that his target this time was a little troublesome. He wouldn't be easy to deal with. You want to deal with my woman? You've got some guts. Go to hell. Xiaoping looked at the Black Tiger gang members indifferently. He lightly raised his hand and pressed down in the air. He didn't want to waste time talking to them. Stop. Seeing this, Lu Hu felt a great pressure. His expression changed. He knew that this move of Xiaoping's was extraordinary. If he didn't stop it, his subordinates would probably be finished. But he couldn't stop it because Xiaoping was too fast. In the air, a terrifying magical power pressed down. It was as if the sky was collapsing. Endless pressure came crashing down, creating an extremely terrifying pressure. In just an instant, the Black Tiger gang members on the ground, whether they were in the fulfillment realm or the transcendent realm, were treated equally. They were like ants under this power. Boom! In an instant, their bodies were crushed into meat paste and turned into powder. A huge palm print appeared on the ground. It was 2 to 3 kilometers in diameter, and even the ground had collapsed by a meter. Too strong. This strength is at least at the peak of the transcendent realm. He killed dozens of people with one move, and some of them were even in the transcendent realm. Is this guy a monster? Didn't they say that Wu Wudi was just a liar? He didn't have much martial strength and was a fake? What's going on now? If he's still a fake, then what are we? Trash. The Black Tiger gang has kicked an iron plate this time. The surrounding people trembled and looked at Xiaoping in fear. People could lie, items could be fake, and even Mo could be fake. But martial strength could not be faked. There was no doubt that his strength was strong. It wasn't just a bluff. You must be joking. How can a liar be so strong? The Black Tiger gang members were also stunned. Previously, they had maintained a relatively relaxed attitude. They thought that if they met Wu Wudi, they could easily take him down with their strength. But now, they saw that he was not a sheep. He was a tiger. He killed dozens of them as soon as he appeared. Chapter 1330. You. Lu Hu stared at Xiaoping. His expression was uncertain. He was in a dilemma and didn't know what to do. Is this all you've got to deal with me? Xiaoping clasped his hands behind his back and looked at the Black Tiger gang members. Looks like I need to teach you how to respect the strong. You can't mess with just anyone. Kneel. He extended his hand and pressed down. Star attractor, infinite gravity. Rumbling sounds could be heard as one star after another appeared behind him. There were a total of 108 stars, all of which rumbled as they rotated. Primal chaos energy swirled around them. At this moment, the entire sky seemed to have darkened. Stars revolved around each other, shining resplendently. Strands of starlight interweaved, forming a river of stars. The starlight swirled around him, forming a massive star array diagram. Impossible. Is he about to step into the treasure refining realm? Lu Hu's pupils constricted as he stared at the scene in disbelief. This was obviously a phenomenon created by using the heaven and earth energy. However, low-level cities only allowed people to use the strength of the divinity realm. Even so, such a phenomenon was still created. In other words, even though this kid was only in the divinity realm, he could use the strength of the treasure refining realm. But this scene was a joke. It was too ridiculous. How could something so stupid happen? He had never seen anyone in the divinity realm this strong. Rumble, however, it didn't matter what he was thinking. Suddenly, the spell formation appeared, and a terrifying gravitational force crushed down, covering the entire valley and crushing down onto the bodies of the Black Tiger gang members. Immediately, more than 2,000 members of the Black Tiger gang let out blood-curdling screams. With a bang, they couldn't bear the gravity and were pressed to the ground, their feet sinking deep into the soil. Their faces were ferocious as they crazily used their chi to counteract the gravity. But even if they pushed their chi to the limit, they couldn't do anything. But other than the Black Tiger gang members, Jiang Yara's group, Yi Zhejia's group, and the surrounding crowd were not affected at all. They couldn't feel the existence of gravity at all. Hyperfocus. This kind of control technique is already hyperfocus. How can something so ridiculous happen? The surrounding people were all extremely shocked. They naturally knew how terrifying a person who could do such a thing was. Just a person who could display such tyrannical power was already very frightening. But now, under such a powerful force, he was still able to control it, as if he was controlling his own fingers. This was not something an ordinary person could do. Those who could do this were all monstrous geniuses of their sex, rarely seen even in 1,000 years. Die. Lu Hu could no longer sit still. If they allowed Wu Wuti to continue being so arrogant, they would all be wiped out. They had to destroy this brat's divine ability. Martial Path divine ability. 9 Tigers Overlord Blade. In the blink of an eye, he pulled out a golden saber and slashed at Xiaoping. The power of this blade was extremely terrifying. 9 ferocious tigers appeared in the void in an instant, condensing into substance. They shone with golden light and emitted a domineering aura. It was as if any enemy would be devoured by this saber, unable to withstand it. This was Lu Hu's peerless skill, and it was also the reason why he could become the leader of the Black Tiger Gang. With this martial path divine ability, he could kill everyone with a blade in hand. He had once slashed from the south to the north of the city, invincible. Ordinary divine realm cultivators would die in one slash in front of him. So strong. The surrounding people could not help but take a few kilometers back because the domineering aura emitted from Lu, who was very domineering and extremely exclusive. Even if they were just spectators, if they did not dodge quickly, they would be injured by the overflowing force. Whoosh! In the blink of an eye, Lu Hu's huge blade arrived. The blade was sharp, as if it was going to break Xiaoping's infinite gravity field with one slash and completely split it in half. Too slow. Xiaoping looked at Lu Hu indifferently. In front of his golden crow hell eye, Lu Hu's blade was as slow as a tortoise, and the trajectory of every slash was clear. Boom! He stretched out his hand, and the power of the void condensed. The power of yin and yang fused into a huge hand, instantly grabbing towards Lu Hu as if ignoring the distance between them. What is this? Lu Hu's body trembled. He felt a giant hand suddenly crushing over, shattering his blade chi in an instant. He was unable to block it. Then, the giant hand grabbed his body. He was suddenly extremely shocked. He could not even use the ice soul silver needles on his body. His whole body was surrounded by the yin and yang chi, as if his body's power was sealed, and he could not break free. In the next second, his body was grabbed like a little chick, and he was ruthlessly thrown out. Dong! Lu Hu let out a shrill scream. His whole body was smashed into the ground, immediately creating a hole with a diameter of 2 to 3 kilometers. It was more than a dozen kilometers deep, as if it was about to break through the earth. Immediately, a crack that was several kilometers long appeared in the surroundings, and there were dense lines everywhere. The scene was shocking. Lu was also thrown deep into the ground like a dead dog, spitting out large mouthfuls of blood. Blood almost covered his body, and he became a bloody man. If not for his last breath, he might have disappeared from the virtual network. But Lu Hu still held on. He must not die. Otherwise, his secret treasure, the Ice Soul Silver Needles, would be lost in this place. He could not accept this loss. No way. With just one move, the boss was beaten like a dog. Many of the Black Tiger Gang members were shocked. In their eyes, Lu Hu was an invincible transcendent realm cultivator, and there were not many in the lower city who could defeat him. But now Lu Hu lost so miserably, they could not imagine it at all. Bad guys, go to hell. Let me punish you with the iron fist of justice. Eat my fist. Seeing this, Yi Jiejia and the other brats shouted and rushed up. They were like little monsters, their bodies like cannonballs, attacking the Black Tiger Gang members. A group of brats also wants to die. I will fulfill your wish. Many of the Black Tiger Gang members were furious. They were gangsters who could stop a 3-year-old from crying, who knew how cruel they were. Although they were a bit down now, they would not be bullied by a group of brats. They were also fulfillment realm cultivators, and even transcendent realm cultivators. They could not be killed by a group of brats. Want to fight? Obediently lie down and wait for your death. Xiaoping pressed down in the air. The gravity quickly increased by more than 10 times, and a huge amount of magic power surged out. Suddenly, the group of Black Tiger Gang members were like crabs pressed down by a giant rock. Even transcendent realm cultivators would find it difficult to move under such gravity. Chapter 1331. Yi Jejia and the other brats made their moves. They were all from influential clans and had tempered their physiques to an unimaginable level. They might just be kids, but they were as strong as little monsters. Even though they were only at the Purple Mansion realm, regular early-stage fulfillment realm cultivators might not be a match for them. They were prodigies that could challenge those who were stronger than them. Moreover, under the pressure of Xiaoping's gravity, these Black Tiger Gang members couldn't move. They were just like targets, allowing the kids to beat them up. Scoundrel, disappear from me. Yi Jejia was the first to rush out. She was wearing a white princess dress. She was a 5 or 6 years old Lolita, but her body was filled with monstrous strength. It was as though there was a real dragon residing in her body. She was extremely violent. Extraordinary strength fist. Her white and tender little fist smashed towards the group of Black Tiger Gang members. The strength of her fist instantly reached dozens of tons. With a boom, a crater that was hundreds of meters deep immediately appeared on the ground. The earth shook and cracked. A small mountain in the distance seemed to have been shaken to the point that it was on the verge of collapsing. Immediately, dozens of members of the Black Tiger Gang were blasted into smithereens and torn to pieces. Even if they were Fulfillment Realm or Divine Ability Realm cultivators, they didn't have special physiques like the Azure Body or the Golden Crow Body. Their body's defense was only slightly stronger than a Purple Mansion realm. They couldn't resist such a monstrous strength and were shattered in a single fist. My mother! The group of people was flabbergasted. They had never seen such a ferocious Lolita. She was only 5 or 6 years old, but she had already reached the Purple Mansion realm and possessed monstrous strength that far surpassed ordinary people. Even a normal human with godly strength. No, even a savage beast would only be at this level. But this was just the beginning. A little fatty made his move. He took a deep breath, and an endless amount of spirit energy surged in. He swallowed it like a whale, and his body immediately enlarged into a meatball with a diameter of 10 meters. His body was extremely hard, and there seemed to be densely packed special black runic patterns on his body. His flesh density increased by a few thousand times and was twice as hard as a diamond. His weight also increased by a few thousand times. When he stood on the ground would collapse and sink. But contrary to his weight, his speed was extremely fast and nimble. With a leap of his feet, it was as if his feet were springs. In an instant, he leaped high into the sky, surpassing the height of a mountain in the distance. He then fell from midair like a falling meteor. Bang! In the next second, he smashed down and instantly killed dozens of Black Tiger Gang members. A shocking crater also appeared on the ground. Just like that, little fatty jumped and smashed, and countless members of the Black Tiger Gang were killed. I'll burn, I'll burn. A little boy in a black suit with a pair of big round eyes looked very cute, and 2 demon horns grew on his forehead. However, he was also an extremely violent person. He opened his mouth wide and instantly spewed out a large amount of flames from his stomach. In an instant, the flames covered a radius of several hundred meters, as if a small fire had broken out. My God, this is the Samadhi true fire, an unusual fire of heaven and earth. How can this kid control it? The group of people was frightened. This was not an ordinary flame, but the famous Samadhi true fire. Once such a flame appeared, it was almost impossible to extinguish. Only the legendary 10,000-year mysterious ice could destroy it. The problem was, how could they have such a treasure? They had never seen it before. Crash! In a few breaths, the fire spread, covering the sky and covering the earth. Dozens of Black Tiger Gang members were burned to ashes, turning into ashes. Apart from them, the other brats also showed their magical powers. They were ferocious as they chased after the Black Tiger Gang members. After half an hour, more than 2,000 members of the Black Tiger Gang were annihilated. Not a single one was left. Are these kids monsters? My God, these are the kids born in the universe. So scary. They're simply little monsters. Jiang Yaru, Chu Rong, Su Ji, and Yu Chi-Chi were also shocked. Although they had also taken action to eliminate the Black Tiger Gang members, they weren't as strong and tyrannical as this group of children. They also realized the gap between the cloud world and the universe. Even if they were martial artists of the same level, the resources and martial arts they grasped were different. Their battle strength was also very different. It was almost an overwhelming gap. It was impossible to catch up. They also made up their minds that after joining the Heaven and Earth sect, they must learn profound martial arts. The Black Tiger Gang was annihilated. Lu Hu kicked an iron plate. Fortunately, this is the virtual network. Otherwise, they would all die. Even so, their souls would be seriously injured, and they wouldn't be able to log into the virtual network for several months. The surrounding people were shocked. Although the fighting strength of these kids was amazing, if Xia Ping didn't suppress the gang members, they wouldn't be able to win so easily. It could be said that Xia Ping alone suppressed the Black Tiger Gang members. He had the strength of 1,000 men. It's over. This time it's over. Lu Hu lay in the deep pit, gasping for breath. His face was pale. He naturally felt that his subordinates were annihilated one by one. Now he was all alone. If he could, he simply wanted to commit suicide and leave the virtual network. But now he couldn't because he still had a treasure like the soul-freezing silver needle. He couldn't bear to leave like this. He could only stubbornly hold on, lest his injuries were too severe and he was kicked out of the virtual network. He regretted it so much that his intestines turned green. If he knew this monster was so powerful, he wouldn't have come looking for trouble, even if he was beaten to death. Now, not only did he not get anything, but he also suffered heavy casualties. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. At this moment, a strong aura came from afar. Figures also flew in from the sky. They were extremely fast and quickly landed outside the valley. Wu Wudi, is Wu Wudi here? Come out immediately. Many people shouted. What? Jiang Yaru and the others were shocked. There were too many of them. They were 10 times, 20 times more than the Black Tiger Gang. There were tens of thousands of people, and there were even more auras flying in from afar. It seemed that this was only the beginning. My God, how many people did this bad guy offend? Why did so many people come looking for trouble? Jiang Yaru and the others were speechless. Following this bad guy, there really was no peace. God is good to me. This kid's enemies are finally here. Lu Hu was grateful. He felt as if he had escaped from death. I am Wu Wudi. Why are you looking for me? Do you want to treat me to a meal? Xiaoping stood with his hands behind his back and glanced sideways. Eat my ass. I heard that you've obtained the distant fire forging technique. Is this true? A man with triangular eyes walked out and stared at Xiaoping greedily. Chapter 1332. The distant fire forging technique. Hearing this, the onlookers were shocked. They immediately pricked up their ears. Didn't they come to this mountain range to obtain the distant fire forging technique? Had the secret technique already fallen into Wu Wudi's hands? Even Lu Hu, who was at the bottom of the pit, held his breath and quietly listened to Xiaoping. But before Xiaoping could say anything, more and more groups of people charged over. Oh my God, isn't that the biggest gang in West Regent City, the Wolf Fang Gang? Why are they here? Someone shouted. They immediately saw a group of people, thousands of them. They were all wearing black clothes with a wolf's head printed on them, revealing their scarlet fangs. This was the Wolf Fang Gang's biggest symbol. More than half of the Wolf Fang Gang's higher-ups are here. They've turned out in full force. Many people were shocked. This was because the Wolf Fang Gang was more famous than the Black Tiger Gang, and they were used to working in groups. They were extremely ferocious. Ordinary people would be torn to pieces if they encountered this gang. Once the Wolf Fang Gang appeared, most people would retreat. Those who offended the Wolf Fang Gang could only wait for death. No one dared to help them. It's not just the Wolf Fang Gang. Dongyu City's Ursa Gang is here too. Someone shouted. Another group of people arrived. They were all tall and strong, more than 2.5 meters tall. They were as strong as black bears and had boundless strength. The appearance of this group of people was like a small mountain, giving off a fatal sense of oppression. The surrounding people were all shivering. It was as if the other party could grab them with a single hand, as if they were little chicks, and with a single squeeze, their heads would be crushed. The Ursa gang was also a powerful gang that was not inferior to the Wolf Fawn gang. Look, the Mammoth gang, Wild Lion gang, Water Buffalo gang, these super gangs are here too. They've turned out in full force. They've definitely turned out in full force. Most of the powerful sects in the 108 low-grade cities nearby are here, right? Although not all of their elites are here, some of them are here. This is quite a shocking scene. The group of people was dumbfounded. They felt that this was a gang gathering. Almost all the dark forces in the nearby cities had appeared, and they were filled with murderous intent. Some people carefully counted and found that there were at least 100,000 people. Furthermore, there were even more people coming from behind them. This kind of battle array was simply frightening. Third Ho. Xiaoping raised his eyebrows. He sensed Ho San's aura in the crowd. Although he thought he had hidden it well, he could not hide it from Xiaoping's divine senses. He reckoned that Ho San was the one who had leaked the news. That was why so many forces were mobilizing and coming out in full force. However, he had already expected this situation because he had deliberately allowed it to happen. Otherwise, he wouldn't have left his name beside Ho San. Before advancing to an intermediate city, there must be an epic battle. Otherwise, how can we live up to the name Wu Wudi? Xiaoping's eyes lit up. When he came to Far East City this time, he found that many small fish and shrimps were also staring at him, as if he was a dish that they could eat however they wanted. As the saying goes, people are kind, and horses are kind. If he did not kill a few people, others would not know how powerful he was. Therefore, he had to fight, kill the chicken to scare the monkey, and intimidate the crowd. There was probably nothing more shocking than defeating so many gangs. He believed that after this battle, not many people would dare to cause trouble for him. At least, weak flies would not come to harass him. Moreover, this could also attract a lot of hatred. This was a plan that killed two birds with one stone. F***CK, is this Wu Wudi? He's really a shameless person. I want to beat him up when I see him. Among the crowd, Ho San gritted his teeth and stared at Xiaoping. At that moment, there was a big bump on his forehead. Although it had been bandaged, it was still extremely painful. It was as if every nerve in his body was stinging. Thinking back to how this bastard had smashed him with a brick and robbed him of all his treasures, almost losing even his underwear, he was immediately filled with hatred. He wanted nothing more than to take revenge immediately. Therefore, he was so angry that he immediately leaked the news of the distant fire forging technique and said that Wu Wudi had obtained it. The result was just as he expected. Countless forces came out in full force. He believed that with so many experts here, it would be impossible for Wu Wudi to escape. Ho San was looking forward to seeing Wu Wudi get beaten up. If he wanted to take away his treasures, how could he not pay a price? Wu Wudi, where's your distant fire forging technique? Hand it over immediately. Such a secret manual is not something a liar like you can have. Hand it over, and I'll spare your life. The leader of the Wolf's Fawn gang, Gu Yong, jumped out and shouted at Xiaoping with a murderous look. Secret manual? I don't understand what you're saying. Are you mistaken? I just arrived. How could I have obtained the distant fire forging technique? Is there a villain who is spreading rumors? Xiaoping said carelessly. Villain? Who are you talking about? Your whole family is a villain. Ho San was furious. Even when he was about to die, this bastard still wanted to slander him. He was indeed a complete villain. Don't play dumb. You definitely have the distant fire forging technique. You can't hide it from us. The leader of the Big Bear gang, Yu Tao, also said in a low voice. He clenched his fist, which was the size of a clay pot, and made cracking sounds. He was very threatening. Why are you talking nonsense with this kid? This guy won't give up until he sees his coffin. Whether the distant fire forging technique is really with him or not, just kill him. All his treasures will definitely be revealed. The leader of the giant elephant gang, Zhang Hao, said sinisterly. Zhang Hao, the leader of the giant elephant gang, said in a sinister tone. He didn't want to waste time talking nonsense. He wanted to kill Wu Wudi to find out whether he had the distant fire forging technique or not. This was also the fastest way to verify it. It didn't matter even if the kid didn't have it. Anyway, he would only be killing one person. For gangs like them, it was child's play. All right, I admit it. The distant fire forging technique is indeed with me. Xiaoping stood with his hand behind his back and sighed. But to be honest, the distant fire ancestor is actually the ancestor of the Wu clan. This secret technique was passed down by him. As a descendant of the Wu clan, it's only right for me to obtain this secret technique. It can be said that it's the wish of the masses, and it can also be said that this is the choice of fate. Don't you think it's a little too much for you to forcefully snatch it? He looked at the crowd. Bullsh *T. The leader of the Wild Lion Gang, Tang Jun, shouted angrily. The distant fire ancestor's surname is Tsung, not Wu. How can he be the ancestor of the Wu clan? Even if you want to lie, you should be more serious. He exposed Xiaoping's lie. Oh, then I remembered wrongly. In fact, the distant fire ancestor is the best friend of my Wu clan's ancestor. They were sworn brothers and had sworn an oath of blood. It's not wrong to say that he's the ancestor of my Wu clan. Xiaoping's expression didn't change. The group of people gritted their teeth. This guy's skin was thicker than the city wall. Even a Star Destroyer cannon couldn't penetrate it. Even after being exposed, he still dared to brag. Chapter 1333. You're indeed a super liar. You can't believe every word you say. Hosan's mouth twitched. This was the first time he had seen such an outrageous person. Although being thick-skinned was an advantage as a liar, the problem was that he was too thick-skinned. Did he know what it meant to be shameless? Many people gritted their teeth. Did he remember wrongly? How could such a big lie be covered up by just saying that he remembered wrongly? He had underestimated their intelligence. However, some of them were ashamed. If the leader of the Wild Lion Gang hadn't exposed this kid's lies in time, they might have really believed his words. Wu Wudi, don't try to flatter me. Hand over the Ignis forging technique immediately. This is your only chance of survival. Gu Yong, the leader of the Wolf Fong Gang, shouted. He stared at Xiaoping like a wolf. Don't do anything rash. My Wu family is a sage family with a sage. If you dare to harm me, none of you will escape. You will die without a burial place. Xiaoping warned them, still fearless. Bullsh *T. Keep Bullsh *Ting. Sage family? Why don't you say you're a sage? Maybe I'll believe you. Damn, not a single word of this liar's is true. He's about to die and he's still acting tough. Aren't you afraid of blowing your own trumpet? Does your family know you're so awesome? A group of people looked at Xiaoping with disdain. If they believed a single punctuation mark from this fellow, then they would be pigs. Did he think that they would believe him just because he said those words in retreat? Wasn't he looking down on them too much? Kill! Gu Yong and the others from the Wolf Fong Gang were getting impatient. They shouted loudly and immediately attacked. What should we do? Jiang Yaru and the others all looked at Xiaoping. Facing the attacks of so many people, they all felt a great pressure. It was as if they were powerless people surrounded by hundreds of fierce tigers. 100,000 people were attacking. Even if each of them spat, it would be enough to drown them to death. It was obvious that Gu Yong and the others had no interest in fighting Xiaoping alone. They wanted to exhaust Xiaoping to death with numbers. They're just useless people. Xiaoping stood up and looked at the group of people. He didn't care about them at all. Martial Path Divine Ability. 7 Fiendish True Dragon Roar. Immediately, he used this technique of the Dragon Clan and let out a loud roar. Massive amounts of chi gathered in his throat and exploded, creating terrifying sound waves. With his body as the center, layers upon layers of sound wave immediately gushed out and rapidly spread out. Like a tidal wave, it spread out for hundreds of kilometers. Vaguely, a true dragon appeared in the sky. It was hidden in the clouds and let out a furious roar. The power of this sound wave had the power to destroy heaven and earth. What? The leader of the Wolf Fong Gang and the others were startled. They immediately felt a wave of panic, as if they had met their natural enemy. It was as if they were mice that had met a cat. They lost 70% of their courage. Dragon might, this is dragon might. Some people cried out in horror. The power of this dragon's might was extremely terrifying. Other than a few people with strong willpower, everyone else would be intimidated by the dragon's might, and their legs would go soft. The power of the sound wave clearly hadn't reached them yet, but many people were already trembling, their legs shaking like sieves. Some people wanted to run away, but their legs had long gone soft, and they could not escape at all. Immediately use your protective skills to block it. Block it quickly, or you'll die. Guillaume roared. He could feel the terrifying power of the sound wave contained in the roar. Not only that, but it also seemed to contain the power of malice, which specialized in breaking through the protective chi of vigor. It had a strong destructive power, and was not something that ordinary divine abilities could compare to. Many people felt that they were not facing a human, but a true dragon. Bang, bang, bang. In an instant, the roar was earth-shattering, and it quickly covered the gang members. Many gang members immediately let out shrill cries of pain. Their entire bodies were shattered. Even if they used their protective chi of vigor, the malice entered their bodies and tore them apart in an instant. Cultivators below the divine realm could not withstand it all. The air shook thousands of times, so much so that they coughed up blood and disappeared from the virtual space just like that. Even a divine realm cultivator would find it hard to withstand it. The sound wave came one after another, like waves crashing on the shore, hitting the reefs and bombarding them. One by one, they were sent flying, smashing through dozens of mountains before coming to a stop. However, their lungs were also injured from the shock. Not an inch of their skin was left unscathed, and they bled profusely. Oh my God! By the time the roar was over, everyone was shocked. Out of the 100,000 gang members, 60,000 had disappeared. The weaker cultivators were killed by the shock, and not even their bones were left. Even if there were 40,000 people who were not dead, they were all injured. Their eyes were dull, and it was clear that their souls were injured as well, showing signs of dementia. It was especially so for gang leaders like the Wolf Fangs. While they were at the pinnacle of divine realm, they were too close to Xiaoping, and so they took the brunt of the damage. They were also shaken to the point that they coughed up blood. If it were not for their high cultivation and their protective treasures, they would have been turned into ashes by that roar. Brother Wu is too strong. Yi Jia and the other brats looked at Xiaoping with admiration. A single roar had killed 60,000 people. What kind of mystic power was that? No other divine realm cultivator of the same level could do something like that. Jiang Yaru and the others were shocked as well. While they knew that Xiaoping was strong, they did not expect him to be this strong. These were all-powerful aliens, and yet they were not Xiaoping's match. Not bad. Xiaoping was very satisfied. This mystic power was very effective in clearing up small fries. Under the roar of the true dragon, anyone weaker than him would be killed without exception, and it was an area of effect attack, so it was impossible to escape. However, the weakness of this move was that it consumed too much magic power. If an ordinary cultivator let out a roar, their magic power would be completely depleted. Fortunately, his purple palace was huge, more than 100 times that of a normal person. Even using the true dragon roar of 7 malice would only cost him 1% of his mana. This was one of the benefits of having mana. He could use martial mystic powers at will. What kind of mystic power is that? Why is it so terrifying? It seems to be the roar of a true dragon. It contains the might of a dragon. Damn it! Is this kid related to the dragon clan? Why does he know this mystic power? It's too scary. He killed 60,000 people with one move. Human wave tactics are useless against him. Wu Wudi, is there really no one who can fight him? He's not just a liar. His martial strength is terrifying as well. Chapter 1334. Ridiculous. Xiaoping stood with his hands behind his back and looked at the crowd. You want to cause trouble for me with such mediocre skills? You want to get the distant fire forging technique? There's only one word to describe your behavior. You're overestimating yourselves. To deal with trash like you, I can crush countless of you with a single finger. He taunted them unrestrainedly, firing at them all over the map. Damn it! Immediately, the crowd was furious. As members of the underworld, they were all unruly, cruel, and ruthless. They killed people like flies. Yet, they were considered useless and could be killed with a single finger. Although they admitted that Wu Wudi was very strong, he was looking down on them too much. Everyone, don't be fooled by this brat. Gu Yong, the leader of the Wolf Fong gang, jumped out. Such a powerful mystique must consume a lot of energy. How many times can he use it? Plus, we have a numbers advantage and endless reinforcements. We can exhaust him to death. Most importantly, this is the virtual world. We won't die. What's there to be afraid of? Hearing this, many people's eyes lit up. Just as Gu Yong said, such a powerful mystique could not be used too many times. After using it a few times, the brat's energy would be completely depleted. Cultivators without energy were no different from tigers without claws and fangs. They could only wait to be slaughtered. Of course, most importantly, they were in the virtual world and could not die. What was there to be afraid of? They would fight him to the death. Kill. In an instant, hundreds of Mystique Realm cultivators moved. But their targets were not Xia Ping, but Jiang Yaru and the others, as well as Yi Jujia and the other brats. That's a good idea. Xia Ping squinted. He could tell that they were planning to use Jiang Yaru and the others as a threat. After all, the Seven Malice Dragon Roar was very powerful, but did not distinguish between friend and foe. Once he used this mystique, he would definitely hurt his allies. They were betting that Xia Ping wouldn't dare to harm his allies, so they set their targets on Jiang Yaru and the others. This way, this brat would definitely hold back. If I were an ordinary person, I might not be able to do anything to you. But to think that you can use such a method to stop me? You're just too stupid. A cold glint flashed across Xia Ping's eyes as he channeled the magic power within his body. Azure, the arch longevity art, omniscient nature. Rumble, in an instant, a boundless wood elemental aura surged from his body. The world tree in the depths of the Violet Kingdom was also trembling. It was as if his body had become a towering tree. As Xia Ping stood on the ground, he seemed to be able to absorb the boundless power of the earth and wood, which madly flowed into his body. It was as if a divine tree had been born. At the same time, strands of divine wood-type aura spread out from Xia Ping's body, seeping into the underground veins and quickly entering the bodies of every single plant in the forest. What is this? Many people immediately cried out because they discovered that the plants in the forest had undergone earth-shattering changes. They were growing at a speed visible to the naked eye. Trees that were hundreds of meters tall and over 1,000 meters tall rose from the ground. Weeds also grew crazily, entangling like vines. They were so tall that they almost covered the heads of people. Flowers bloomed one after another. Regardless of the season, they all grew at that moment, completely ignoring the power of the seasons. The air around them was filled with a fragrant scent, and countless plants in the forest bowed slightly in Xia Ping's direction, as if they were welcoming the ruler of the wood element, the ancestor of all trees. Such a strange scene was also discovered by many, and everyone was shocked. Quick hide! The expressions of Gu Yong and the other gang leaders changed drastically. They felt an aura that was even more terrifying than before. The roots on the ground shot out like dragons, tearing the ground apart. In an instant, they were close to the gang members. Dong, dong, dong. Some of the roots were like spears, containing a sharp aura. In an instant, they pierced through the bodies of the martial artists. Some of the vines were as soft as ropes, like poisonous snakes. They wrapped around the bodies of the enemies and strangled them to death, leaving them with no way to escape. A man-eating flower opened its mouth and instantly swallowed a few martial artists into its stomach, digesting them quickly. Some of the flowers exuded a bewitching aura. Just smelling a little bit of it would cause one to faint and lose consciousness. In just a few breaths, the area within a radius of hundreds of miles had turned into a world of killing plants. Any enemy that invaded the forest would be wiped out without exception. How wonderful! Xiaoping stood in place, not moving. His divine sense was immersed in the world tree, controlling every plant to carry out a massacre. It was as if every plant was his clone, like a finger or an arm. Of course, without the world tree, it was simply impossible to control every plant. Who knew how much mental strength it would take to do so? But with the world tree as the core, he could become a supercomputer. He only needed to give an order to control countless plants, and he didn't need to spend too much mental strength. This is soul energy? Soon, Xiaoping discovered that every time he killed an enemy, these enemies would always emit some soul energy after they died, and then the soul energy would quickly dissipate into the void. But with his ability to devour soul energy, he could quickly capture the dissipating soul energy and integrate it into the depths of his soul. He could feel his divine sense increasing bit by bit. I didn't expect to be able to devour soul energy like this. What a pleasant surprise. Xiaoping raised his eyebrows. He knew that after people died in the virtual world, although they didn't really die, their souls would still suffer considerable damage, and a lot of soul energy would be emitted. Even if the amount of soul energy devoured was less than killing a living creature in the real world, with so many people piled up, it would still be quite a shocking amount of soul energy. It could strengthen one's soul to a terrifying level. Thinking of this, he didn't show any mercy and killed these gang members one by one. Run quickly. This is a demon. What kind of magic is this? How can it be so terrifying? It's a trap. This is definitely a trap. He definitely wants to kill us here. How can this be? Could it be that his magic power is endless? Everyone shouted in horror. They found that they couldn't get close to Xiaoping at all. And as time passed, their companions around them died one by one, all killed by these evil plants. They felt as if they had fallen into a hell of plants. There were enemies everywhere, and there was nowhere to run. Chapter 1335. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. The people from the Wolf Fong gang quickly fled. They were completely terrified by Xiaoping. He was an undefeatable monster. They were simply waiting to die if they stayed. Although dying in a virtual network was not a real death, their souls would be weakened for a few months. They would not be able to log in for a short period of time. More importantly, all their treasures would be lost. They could not accept such a loss. Each and every one of them ran away happily, wishing that their parents had given them a few more legs. Monster Wu Wudi is a monster. Just one person killed 100,000 troops and caused them to collapse. Some died, some were crippled. What kind of divine power is that? It's so powerful. With divine power, he can control the power of all wood. It's very mysterious. No way. I've seen wood divine powers before, but those in the divine power realm can only control a dozen trees at most. They can't take it anymore. Yeah, he can control all the plants within a few hundred kilometers. It's too shocking. I can only say that his magic power is unbelievably strong. It's comparable to a divine beast. Comparable to a divine beast? He really is a monster. Many people were completely shocked. Xiaoping's combat power had refreshed their horizons. They knew that there was always someone better than you. Some of the disciples from the big families looked solemn. Even the most talented genius in their families could not do this when he was in the divine power realm. It was not hard to imagine that Wu Wudi was not just a liar. He must have an amazing heritage. Bang! Bang! Xiaoping chased after the gang members for another hour, crushing tens of thousands of people along the way. He slaughtered his way in and out of the forest, causing countless cultivators to flee for their lives. Blood flowed like a river as they fled in all directions. Many of them were killed by the plants, but there were also some who were trampled to death as they fled. This group of people fell into endless panic, and they didn't know where to run. I've used up a lot of energy. Xiaoping stood in the air. Even though his magic power was extremely strong, controlling so many plants to fight for such a long time made him feel a little weak. It was estimated that after a period of time, the magic power in his body would be exhausted. However, after this battle, no one dared to appear in front of him anymore, and no one dared to steal his Ignis forging art. This was the result of his killing, and it was terrifying. However, there are still many benefits. My soul energy has grown quite a bit. Xiaoping was very satisfied. He had killed tens of thousands of people, and each of them had absorbed a wisp of soul energy. Moreover, most of the souls were above the fulfillment realm, and the energy was extremely pure. This also allowed his divine sense to evolve and expand little by little. With the improvement of his divine sense, The speed at which he swallowed the spiritual chi of heaven and earth and refined his magic power also became faster. Oh no, Xiaoping. Lu Hu seems to have taken advantage of the chaos to escape. Yu Chi immediately transmitted a message over. She discovered that Lu Hu, who was originally at the bottom of the pit, had unknowingly slipped away, and she had no idea where he had gone. Escape? He can't escape. Xiaoping narrowed his eyes. His divine sense spread out, covering a radius of over 10,000 kilometers. In a few breaths of time, he found Lu Hu's aura. The other party was hiding in a forest. Lu Hu probably thought that he had safely escaped from Xiaoping's clutches, so he leaned against a big tree, gasped for breath, and began to rest. Whoosh! Xiaoping's body flashed, and he chased after him. At this moment, Lu Hu was leaning against a big tree, gasping for breath. He looked around vigilantly, and when he sensed that there was no one around he immediately felt a lot more at ease. Damn, that Wu Wudi is simply a monster. Lu Hu still had lingering fears. Previously, he had wanted to kidnap this kid and extort a large amount of money from him. But now, it seemed that he was already lucky that he was not killed. The Wolfang gang, the Giant Elephant gang, and the other gangs were all much stronger than his Black Tiger gang, and they had many experts. They had a total of 100,000 people, but this kid had single-handedly destroyed them. This was not something that ordinary humans could compare with. Without a doubt, this kid must be the direct heir of some ancient family, which was why he had such a shocking inheritance. As for why he was still doing such things, even though he was from a large family, he could only think that it was a hobby of the children of large families, or perhaps it was a game. Fortunately, that group of idiots came to stop Wu Wudi. Otherwise, I would be dead this time. I wouldn't even be able to keep the treasures on me. Lu Hu was extremely glad. If not for the Wolfang gang, he was afraid that he would have been dead. However, he immediately decided to list Wu Wudi as an important person that he absolutely could not afford to offend. Not only was he very strong, but he could also be the son of a large family. How could a small fry like the Black Tiger gang afford to offend such an important person? If his real identity was exposed, he was afraid that he would be chased through space, and he would not even know how he died. Whoosh! At this moment, suddenly, a strong wind came, and in an instant it was behind Lu Hu. Who is it? Lu Hu was shocked, and his hair stood on end like a cat whose tail had been stepped on. He was now seriously injured, and he was being targeted. Did that not bode well for him? He immediately focused, wanting to know who was looking for him. However, just as he looked back, he immediately saw a brick coming toward his head. Not good, Lu Hu shouted. With a thud, the brick hit his head hard. His consciousness disappeared into the endless darkness, and his soul instantly left the virtual network. In the next second, his soul returned to his body, and he immediately woke up from the real world. No, no, no. My frost silver needles, my treasures, are gone, all gone. Lu Hu's face turned green, and he roared crazily, incomparably desperate. Who is it? Which immoral bastard is so shameless as to plot against me behind my back? Don't let me find you, or I will not rest until you die. He was so angry that his lungs were about to explode. Previously, he had worked so hard to escape, and he thought that he could sleep peacefully. Who would have thought that there would be a despicable and shameless person who would plot against him, killing him with a brick? He did not even see what the person who killed him looked like. One could imagine his anger now. However, no matter how much he roared, he had already died in the virtual world, and he could not log in for several months. Even if he wanted to find the murderer, it was impossible. What is this? Chapter 1336. This is Soul Freezing Silver Needle. Seeing this thing, Corinne immediately cried out, obviously a little surprised. Soul Freezing Silver Needle? What is this? Xiaoping asked. Corinne said in a deep voice, "This is an incredible thing. Using this treasure, you can even directly kill people in the virtual network and destroy the other party's soul. It is a great killing weapon. You can still kill people in the virtual network?" Xiaoping was taken aback. He didn't expect that there would be such a thing. Of course you can kill people. The universe virtual network is not an ordinary virtual network. It is between virtual and real. Corinne said, according to Old Master, this universe virtual network was built by the saints. Its main purpose is to make the soul immortal. As for becoming a tool for communication with the whole universe, it is just a side effect. Soul immortal? Xiaoping's eyes revealed a trace of cold light. He also suddenly thought of this. If the soul is in the virtual network, then it really doesn't exist. No matter how many times it is killed, it will be resurrected. If this virtual network world continues to evolve, turning virtual into real, maybe it can really become a divine world, a world of God's immortal. It is estimated that this is also the ambition of many saints. Where did you get this treasure? Xiaoping continued to ask. It should be from the outside world. Corinne thought for a moment and replied. Xiaoping's eyes widened. Things from the outside world can also be brought into the virtual network. He was really surprised. He didn't expect the universe virtual network to be so magical. Of course, as long as a certain price is paid. Corinne said, moreover, things from the outside world can not only be brought in, but even things from the virtual world can also be brought out. Even the treasures in the virtual world can be of great benefit to cultivators and can improve their cultivation. For example, if you get 1,000-year-old ginseng in the virtual world, after consuming and refining it, it is equivalent to getting 1,000-year-old ginseng, exactly the same as in reality. It explained the magic of the universe virtual network. There is such a thing? Why haven't I heard of it before? Xiaoping asked. Corinne said with contempt, before you were busy swindling people, where would you have time to know these things? Xiaoping also remembered a lot of things that happened before. Indeed, apart from the novice village, he had been staying in Far East City and didn't pay much attention to anything else. However, he was very thick-skinned and did not look embarrassed at all. Moreover, do you know why the virtual network is divided into novice village, low-level city, middle-level city, and high-level city? Corinne looked at Xiaoping, but did not wait for Xiaoping to answer and answered his own question. It's because the higher the level of the virtual network space, the closer it is to the real world, and the better the effects of the elixirs and treasures growing in this space. Novice Village's level is too low, so most of the treasures are virtual and have no practical use. Low-grade cities are more than 10 times better than Novice Villages. They produce large amounts of spirit stones, spirit herbs, spirit liquids, and many other things. To cultivators, this is a great benefit. The treasures produced by intermediate and high-grade cities are even more powerful. Moreover, because no one will die in the virtual network, and one can obtain a large number of elixirs to increase one's cultivation, this also leads to most cultivators coming to the virtual network to search for treasures and train. Xiaoping nodded. This also solved one of his doubts. Very soon, his eyes lit up. In that case, won't there be a lot of spiritual herbs appearing in this virtual space? And where do these spiritual herbs grow? He wanted to go and pick them. Indeed, these spiritual herbs basically grow in spirited mountains, Corinne said. But these spirited mountains are basically occupied by big families, big sects, and big forces. Ordinary cultivators basically don't have a share and can only look at them with envy. Those gangs you encounter before, such as Wolf Teeth Gang, Black Tiger Gang, and other organizations, they also occupy a small mountain as their own base, monopolizing the spiritual herbs of spirited mountains. So they become stronger and attract countless strong people. Speaking up to here, he paused and continued. This is also the reason why the virtual network is fighting endlessly. In order to compete for spirited mountains, countless cultivators fight to the death. Whoever occupies more spirit mountains will be able to occupy more resources and become more powerful. Occupy spirited mountains? Xiaoping knew that except for the city's safe zone, other places can kill each other and no one will care. But spirited mountains are in the wilderness, which is a lawless zone. In this kind of place, whoever has the bigger fist is the boss. Interesting, that is to say, as long as you are strong enough, you can occupy a spirited mountain. Xiaoping touched his chin. So, I can also snatch the spirited mountains occupied by Black Tiger Gang and other gangs? Corinne was stunned. What do you want to do? What else can I do? Of course I want to flatten the nest of Black Tiger Gang. Only they can besiege me, and I can't retaliate. Xiaoping said righteously. Of course, the main purpose of this time is to punish evil and promote good. These gangs are doing all kinds of evil everywhere. They are oppressing the villagers, and the people have no way to live. I don't know how much anger they have aroused. In the past, no one cared about them, so they became more and more arrogant. But now it's different. I'm here. I want to let these gangs know that offending me, Xiaoping, no, it should be killing common people and doing all kinds of evil is a wrong thing. It's not that I don't want to retaliate. It's just that the time has not yet come. Corinne twitched. This guy clearly wants to snatch the many elixirs on other people's spirited mountain, and also brags that he is getting rid of evil for the people. He has never seen such a thick-skinned man, so shameless. Moreover, when those gangs besieged Xiaoping before, they suffered heavy losses. They lost more than half of their elites. Now, their nest is completely empty, and they are in an incomparably weak period. Attacking these spirited mountains now is clearly taking advantage of people's precarious situation and hitting them while they are down. But for now, I should first go back and rendezvous with Jiang Yaru and the others, and then kill these gangs' nest in one fell swoop and take revenge. Xiaoping clenched his fist. Then, he put away the soul-freezing silver needles. After all, this is a big killing weapon. It can kill people in the virtual world. This kind of method is too terrifying. If he encounters an arrogant enemy in the future, he can completely kill the other party in the virtual world. Even if he doesn't use it in the virtual world, he can also use it in the real world. This is his trump card. He is really grateful to Lu Hu. Without him, how could he get such a big killing weapon? Chapter 1337. Black Tiger Mountain. This was a spirit mountain controlled by the Black Tiger Gang. It wasn't too far from Far East City, and it was also the gang's base camp. Most of the gang's elites lived here. Spirit chi lingered around this spirit mountain, and there seemed to be a spirit vein circulating. Many spirit herbs grew on the mountainside. At a glance, one could tell that this was a land of outstanding talents. Cultivating here would be several times faster than other places. At the moment, many of the gang's elites were gathered in a hall at the top of Black Tiger Mountain. I heard the gang leader brought people to kidnap that liar Wu Woody. What happened? What's the point of asking? Can't you see that so many people came back injured? Many of our brothers were killed, and in the end, even the gang leader was killed. Don't even mention how tragic it was. Damn, isn't that kid just a liar? Even the gang leader couldn't catch him. Liar my ass. That guy is a tiger in sheep's clothing. He's so ferocious that he's a complete mess. His battle prowess is too ferocious. At that time, hundreds of brothers were killed by him in one move. Even the gang leader couldn't escape his evil claws. Really? No matter how strong he is, he's only at the peak of the transcendent realm. It's not like I haven't seen it before. The gang leader is an expert like that, but he couldn't kill hundreds of brothers in one move. That's because you didn't see it. I thought that killing hundreds of brothers in one move was ridiculous enough, but then dozens of gangs came looking for him. There were 100,000 of them, and that's enough to flatten the Black Tiger Gang dozens of times. But when he goes berserk, once he goes berserk, 60,000 people are killed with a single roar, and the remaining tens of thousands are chased and killed like chickens. That is called a river of blood. If it was in the real world, it would be a massacre, a one-sided massacre. Damn, the more I hear, the more fake it sounds. That's an enemy. Can you not brag for him? What do you mean brag? I'm just telling the truth. If you don't believe me, you can ask the other brothers. They were all there and can testify for me. If I'm lying, I'll be struck by lightning. It's true. It wasn't easy for us to come back alive. It was a narrow escape from death. Yeah, we weren't the only ones who saw it. There were many witnesses at the scene. The Wolf Fong Gang, the Giant Elephant Gang, and the Big Bear Gang all suffered heavy casualties. They were killed like dogs by him. Damn it, why is this guy so cruel? It seems like he's not just a swindler, but also a bandit who kills people like scything flax. That must be the case. I can guarantee that this is definitely not his original appearance. He must have had plastic surgery. That guy might be a wanted interstellar pirate, the very cruel kind. A group of Black Tiger Gang members were talking about it. Some people even maliciously slandered Xiaoping's reputation, thinking that this guy might be a wanted criminal who hid his true face and was guilty of many crimes. Thump, thump, thump. At this moment, the entire spiritual mountain rang with the urgent sound of a bell. At first, they didn't pay much attention to the bell, but when it rang for the 9th time, their expressions changed drastically. Enemy attack. Without a doubt, it was an enemy attack. Just 3 tolls of the bell meant that trouble was coming. 5 tolls meant that a strong enemy was coming, and 9 tolls meant that the sect was in danger of being annihilated, requiring all the sect members to take action and resist with their lives. Hearing this sound, a group of Black Tiger Gang leaders rushed out. Damn it, what the hell is going on? Why are there 9 tolls of the bell? How many years has it not been rung? Who doesn't know that our Black Tiger Gang is the overlord of Far East City? We've been dominating for decades, and we have more than 10,000 members, all of whom are elites. Who dares to touch our Black Tiger Gang? Are they tired of living? Someone must have seen that our Black Tiger Gang lost 2,000 elites, and even our leader died. We can't go online for a few months, so they want to hit us while we're down. Bastards, when a tiger doesn't show its might, they think I'm a sick cat. They even want to take advantage of people's difficulties to cause trouble on our Black Tiger Mountain. They really don't know what's good for them. Even if the leader isn't here, our Black Tiger Gang isn't something that just anyone can provoke. Brothers, take up your weapons and kill those troublemakers. A group of people shouted and rushed out of the main hall aggressively. Suddenly, a Black Tiger Gang guard outside shouted, "Wu Woody, it's the great swindler Wu Woody. Quickly ask the leader to come over and hold the fort. We can't hold them off any longer." What? The great swindler Wu Woody, an unparalleled ferocious man who could kill 60,000 people with a single roar? Oh my God, this bastard really killed his way up. Quickly ask the leader to come over. Otherwise, we won't be able to stop this unparalleled ferocious man. Invite my ass. The leader is already dead. He can't go online for a few months. How are we going to invite him? Call the vice sect master and many of the sect elders over. Have them all come over. We can't let this bastard do whatever he wants. So what if he's Wu Woody? If he dares to cause trouble on Black Tiger Mountain, we'll die with him. The members of the Black Tiger Gang shouted loudly. They were full of fighting spirit and aggressive. They, the Black Tiger Mountain, had dominated Far East City for dozens of years and had never been afraid of others. Bang! 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 At that moment, the main hall's door was kicked open. Wood splinters flew everywhere. Then, more than 10 Black Tiger Gang guard were sent flying. They slid along the ground for dozens of meters, coughing up blood. Clearly, these dozen guards had been kicked and were already half dead. They couldn't even get up. The surrounding Black Tiger Gang members were so scared that they pissed their pants. They didn't dare to stay at the door. They scrambled and ran away. Xiaoping walked in very calmly. Behind him were Jiang Yaru, Su Ji, Yu Chi-Chi, and Chu Rong, as well as Yi Jia and 20 to 30 other brats. From the looks of it, it didn't look like he was here to get beaten up. Instead, he looked like he was here to travel with his children. Wu Woody, what are you trying to do? How dare you barge into Black Tiger Mountain? Are you planning to become enemies with all of us? How dare you? What kind of medicine did you take? If you don't explain your goal clearly, you'll be walking out of here. With a few swishing sounds, the Black Tiger Gang members immediately sent out a Black Tiger baleful formation. It fused all of the gang members' magic power. This was a heaven and earth formation. Many of the Black Tiger Gang members scolded Xiaoping. They were shocked and angry. They were shocked. They had thought that Wu Woody had killed 2,000 members of the Black Tiger Gang, as well as 100,000 people from dozens of gangs. He had killed so many people that their blood flowed like a river. He had done such an earth-shattering thing, and this matter should have ended and died down. Wu Woody should have returned to the safe zone with a distant fire forging technique. But they didn't expect that not long after, this guy would directly kill his way to Black Tiger Mountain to cause trouble. Such a thing was simply too absurd. How many years had it been? After they became the overlord of Far East City and occupied Black Tiger Mountain, no one dared to come to Black Tiger Mountain. No one dared to cause trouble for the Black Tiger Gang. Chapter 1338. Why are you asking me why I am here? Xiaoping clasped his hands behind his back and looked at the Black Tiger gang members. It's simple. I am here for only one purpose, and that is to destroy the Black Tiger gang. His body exuded a terrifying aura that instantly enveloped the entire mountain. Arrogant bastard, you want to destroy my Black Tiger mountain? You must be dreaming. Let's attack together and kill this bastard. Immediately, the Black Tiger gang members were furious. Though they knew that Ling Xian had ill intentions, they did not expect him to destroy the Black Tiger gang. This conflict was irreconcilable, and they could only fight to the death. The Black Tiger array of malice. In an instant, hundreds of Black Tiger gang members formed a huge mountain. Their spiritual power gushed out and a huge array appeared, absorbing the malice chi in the surroundings. Boom! Immediately, a black tiger formed by the condensation of dark yin chi appeared in midair. Its eyes were extremely ferocious, revealing a frightening cold light. Its sharp claws were ferocious, like a black tiger that had walked out of hell, symbolizing evil and ominous. Roar! The Black Tiger gang members did not show any mercy to Xiaoping. They immediately activated their killer move. The spiritual power of hundreds of Black Tiger gang members exploded. The Black Tiger roared into the sky. It pounced at Ling Xian at a speed 10 times faster than the speed of sound. At the same time, the malice chi caused the temperature in the hall to drop by tens of degrees. The ground seemed to have frozen. After all, this Black Tiger was strong and fast. The malice chi on its body was even more terrifying. Once it entered the body, it would freeze all the internal organs. You want to use the malice chi against me? This is so funny. Xiaoping did not even look at it. He punched, and the sun essence in his body exploded from his dantian. Whoosh! A fist force that contained the essence of the sun blasted out instantly. It transformed into a golden crow of hell in the void. It flapped its wings and pounced toward the Black Tiger. Roar! Immediately, the Black Tiger let out a shrill roar. The golden crow of hell pounced on it and bit off its head, swallowing it whole. If that was all, it would have been fine. The Black Tiger condensed from baleful yin chi was immortal. As long as the hundreds of Black Tiger gang members didn't die, they could instantly condense another one. But at this moment, a terrifying sun essence flame burst out. It was as hot as the sun, emitting boundless radiance. When the baleful yin chi came into contact with it, it immediately melted like ice and snow, emitting sizzling sounds. After a few breaths, the baleful yin chi immediately melted and disappeared from this space. At the same time, the sun essence turned into tongues of fire that shot out in all directions, bombarding the Black Tiger gang members. Bang, bang, bang. In the next second, the members of the Black Tiger gang who came into contact with the sun essence all let out miserable screams. Their bodies were surrounded by flames, as if they had turned into torches. The scorching flames burned their bodies. In the blink of an eye, 200 to 300 Black Tiger gang members were burned alive. The originally complete Black Tiger baleful yin formation was now riddled with holes and completely collapsed, unable to reform again. The remaining members of the Black Tiger gang also suffered the backlash from the destruction of the formation, and all of them were shaken to the point that their lungs were injured. Seeing the situation, their hearts turned cold. Although they had heard all sorts of legends about Xiaoping killing tens of thousands of people with a single roar, they had always felt that it might be an exaggeration. But now he had killed hundreds of them with a single move, and it was as easy as blowing off dust. Against such a powerful enemy, how could they fight? There was no way to fight. Don't be arrogant, you little thief. Let me deal with you. Die. You dare to cause trouble while the gang leader isn't here? Don't think that the Black Tiger gang has no one. Just then, dozens of people rushed out from the depths of the hall. All of them were Divine Realm cultivators, and a dozen of them were peak Divine Realm. These people were the true higher-ups of the Black Tiger gang, the core of the core. At first, they had been staying in the back hall to cultivate in peace, but seeing a powerful enemy coming to their door and killing their subordinates without a chance to fight back, they could no longer sit still. Little thief, die. A bald man wielding a giant axe came swinging down. He was the vice gang leader of the Black Tiger Gang, a peak divine realm cultivator whose strength was second only to the gang leader, Lu Hu. When someone like this attacked, the aura of his axe was shocking. It was as if he was going to split the hall in half, and it felt like the world was shaking. Xia Ping rushed forward and simply punched, with the power to uproot mountains and rivers, the fist energy reaching the heavens. Dong! Immediately, the bald man's body and the giant axe were smashed into pieces, exploding in the air. Just like that, he was killed by a single punch. Oh my God! The faces of the Black Tiger Gang members turned green. When the vice gang leader appeared, they were more or less looking forward to it. After all, the deputy gang leader was a famous martial artist. Relying on a giant axe, he chopped from the south of the city to the north, killing people like scything flax. He was extremely vicious and evil. Even a cultivator with the same level of magical power had been chopped in half by his axe. But now, before the vice gang leader could show his power, he was killed by a single punch. Don't be afraid, everyone. Let's attack together. Two fists are no match for four hands. There's bound to be times when he's careless. That's right. One slash, and he'll be dead. He's definitely no match for us. This is the base of the Black Tiger Gang. Where else can he run to? We can't let him destroy our base. Let this guy see the bravery of the Black Tiger Gang. The elders of the Black Tiger Gang swarmed forward, calling out to their brothers. Against these people, Xia Ping was expressionless. He didn't use any martial arts at all, just a simple punch, a palm, and a kick. But with his dense mana, he was able to unleash terrifying power. Dong! With a slap, his chi condensed into a wall, and a dozen members of the Black Tiger Gang were sent flying. Like swatting mosquitoes, they smashed into the wall and turned into meat paste. Boom! With a punch, the chi exploded, creating a series of explosions. This was the 100 Steps Godly Fist, and dozens of members of the Black Tiger Gang were penetrated by the chi and shattered on the spot. Bang! With a kick, like a giant stepping on mountains and rivers, dozens of members of the Black Tiger Gang were sent flying. They were sent flying out of the Black Tiger Mountain and smashed through 5 or 6 mountains before dying. When Xia Ping used a simple fist technique, it was like a giant using a divine ability. It was like a tiger entering a flock of sheep. The members of the Black Tiger Gang were either killed, injured, or crippled. After a few minutes, the members of the Black Tiger Gang in the main hall were all cleared. They were either killed or fell to the ground, unable to fight anymore, leaving behind a bunch of defeated soldiers. No, we can't stop him. This kid is too savage. Where's the leader? Why isn't the leader out? The leader died a long time ago. Don't you know? It's over. The Black Tiger Gang is completely finished this time. Chapter 1339. Wait, Woo-Woody, what do you want? Stop immediately. This is the herb garden of Black Tiger Mountain. There are countless spirit herbs here. Do you know how much effort we put into it? No, don't pull out my blue lotus. This is the spirit herb for me to break through to the theurgy realm. It'll mature soon. How can you be so cruel as to take it away? Animal, stop immediately. This is the spirit herb of Black Tiger Mountain. You can't take it away. My God, it's gone. Everything's gone. Not a single spirit herb is left. Decades of hard work of the Black Tiger Gang is gone. I want to die. Animal, you're going to pull out even a blade of grass. Woo-Woody, are you still human? Do you have any humanity left? Do these bastards want our herb garden to be barren? The faces of the Black Tiger Gang members turned green. They'd thought that Xia Ping would leave after teaching them a lesson. They hadn't expected these bastards to go straight into the herb garden. These guys were a bunch of bandits, the kind that plucked feathers from wild geese. Especially the group of children, they were like a group of little bandits, happily plucking spirit herbs, one after another, filling their little backpacks to the brim. But they were still not satisfied. They even had a spirit herb in their mouths. In the end, they didn't even let go of the weeds growing on the ground. They might have some spirit chi and might be useful, so they plucked them all. Now, not to mention the spirit herbs, even the plants were gone. Not even a blade of grass grew. It was a barren wasteland that had turned into a desert. Such a scene was simply like a locust invasion. Some of the Black Tiger Gang members with weak hearts were so angry that they fainted and fell to the ground. Quick, stop them. These bastards are going to our treasury. Stop them. Some of the Black Tiger Gang members' expressions changed. They'd seen Wu Woody and the others rob the herb garden and then run to Black Tiger Mountain's treasury. That treasury was the wealth the Black Tiger Gang had obtained through decades of plundering, extortion, and other evil deeds. They couldn't afford to lose it. The gang leader had to look at it several times a day to feel at ease. Only then would he be willing to sleep or cultivate. One could imagine how much the gang leader valued it. If such a treasure vault was seen by these bandits, one could imagine what would happen. Stop? How can we stop it? That's right. Just now, the deputy gang leader didn't even have the chance to show off before he was killed with a single punch. Even if we go up, I reckon we'll only be able to take a single breath. Even with so many people, we can't stop them. Even if we go up, we'll just be throwing our lives away. There's nothing we can do about it. Let's pack our luggage and split up later. Many members of the Black Tiger Gang were in despair. In the battle just now, basically all the big shots of the Black Tiger Gang had been taken care of and killed. They wanted to resist, but they didn't have the strength to. Not long after, Xiaoping and the others plundered the treasury and quickly came out from inside. Damn it, why are you out so soon this time? Are you looking down on our treasures? Bullshit. These bandits even uprooted the grass. What is there that they look down on? God damn it, these bastards didn't leave anything behind. They even took away the wooden table in the treasury and a few light bulbs on the wall. Shameless to the extreme. Bastards, how is this stealing treasures? This is simply cleaning up. Everything was taken away. Are these bastards from the Tao Tai clan? Why didn't they let anything go? The group of members of the Black Tiger Gang were furious. They gritted their teeth as they watched Xiaoping and the others move the treasures out of the treasury in big and small bags, as if it was their own home. Some people's eyes were wide open. Even the gang leader Lu, who couldn't bear to use these treasures. Now, all of them were taken away by these bastards. Not a single one was left. This was simply cutting off their flesh. However, they couldn't do anything to these bastards. They could only stare at them from aside. Don't mention how sullen this matter was. Thank you, brothers of the Black Tiger Gang, for the treasures. If there's a chance next time, I'll come again. Before leaving, Xiaoping greeted this group of people with a very warm attitude. What? The group of members of the Black Tiger Gang's faces immediately darkened. Thank my ass. Who needs you to thank me? These treasures weren't given at all. You shameless bastard took them away. However, when they heard the last sentence, their faces darkened even more than Master Bao's. If there's a chance next time, come again? Oh my God, this immoral bastard actually wants to come again next time. He's crazy about money. Does he already treat the Black Tiger Mountain as his own home? He can come and go as he pleases. Or does he treat the Black Tiger Mountain as his ATM? When he's short of money, he wants to ask the Black Tiger Mountain for money. What does he think the Black Tiger Gang is? Is it so easy to bully? They simply wanted to rush up and beat this bastard up. He actually dared to look down on the Black Tiger Gang. This is too much. However, after thinking about it, they still didn't dare to act. The other party's martial strength was too abnormal. If an ordinary gang member went up, they would probably die with one punch. In the end, the group of Black Tiger Gang members could only watch helplessly as Xiaoping and the others left. Not long after, in the real world, Lu Hu also knew that his Black Tiger Mountain was invaded by Xiaoping. Because the deputy gang leader and the others were also killed by Xiaoping, they were forced out of the virtual network. They quickly reported this matter to Lu Hu. What did you say? Hearing the deputy gang leader and the others' words, Lu Hu's eyes widened, and he said crazily, that be asterisk TCH Wu Woody actually killed his way up the Black Tiger Mountain and is wantonly plundering the Black Tiger Gang's treasures? How dare he do such a thing? Does he want to fight to the death with the Black Tiger Gang? He was simply furious. When he thought of the large number of treasures he placed on the Black Tiger Mountain, as well as the large number of spiritual herbs he planted in the herb garden, he went crazy. This was because these things were wealth that Lu Hu used the power of the Black Tiger Gang to finally cultivate for decades. It could be said to be decades of hard work. However, Such painstaking efforts were all destroyed by Xiaoping. One could imagine the hatred in his heart right now. He even had the intention to kill someone. Boss, he's already fighting to the death with us. Ever since we brought people to exterminate him and wanted to kidnap him for ransom, the deputy gang leader and the others said helplessly. It was obvious that this Wu Wudi killed his way up the Black Tiger Mountain to take revenge on the Black Tiger gang. He was very open and never hid his intentions. However, the other party's strength was too terrifying, and they couldn't do anything to him. Wu Wudi, just you wait. This enmity is irreconcilable. I will definitely take revenge. Lu Hu gritted his teeth. His heart was bleeding. He thought of how all the treasures he had painstakingly accumulated were all gone. He didn't know how long it would take to make up for them. Chapter 1340. The next day, a mountain peak pierced the sky, surrounded by clouds and mist. It was like a fairyland. On the peak of the mountain, there was a majestic palace. There was a plaque on the top of the palace, and on it, there were 3 golden words, Wolf Fong Gang. Inside, many Wolf Fong Gang members were chatting. That Wu Wudi is really cruel. Isn't that so? The gang leader and a small group of elites only managed to escape with their lives. The others are all inside. Fortunately, this is the virtual world. Otherwise, they would all be dead. That Wu Wudi is not just brutal. He's lawless. I heard that the Black Tiger Gang, the overlord of the Far East City, was flattened by him yesterday. All the treasures on the Black Tiger Mountain were plundered by him, and not even a blade of grass was left. No way. He actually flattened the Black Tiger Gang and took all the treasures on Black Tiger Mountain. He's so cruel. Didn't the Black Tiger Gang resist? They're gangsters after all. Don't they have any guts? Why didn't they resist? They risked their lives to resist, but they were all killed. I heard that the deputy gang leader took the lead, but he was killed with 1 punch. It was very tragic. Where's the gang leader? Where'd he go? Isn't he going to come out and do justice? He died a long time ago. I heard that in the chaos, the leader of the Black Tiger Gang, Lu Hu, was hit by a stick and sent out with a brick. Even the treasures on his body were robbed clean. Misfortune never comes alone. Even without the gang leader, there are other elites. That kid doesn't have any helpers. Why didn't they find someone to kill him? 2 fists are no match for 4 hands. Don't those idiots from the Black Tiger Gang know this? They've already found someone to kill him, but what's the use? Previously, dozens of our gangs and 100,000 soldiers were chased like dogs by him. Some died, some fled. Do you think the Black Tiger Gang alone can stop this devil? Now I heard that the Black Tiger Gang is planning to disband. They're planning to pack their bags and disband. F***CK. He almost annihilated them. This Wu Wudi is really ruthless. Fortunately, the Wolf Fong Gang is not in Far East City. Otherwise, that demon might come to us. What do you mean? Are you looking down on the Wolf Fong Gang? So what if he's here? Do you think we're afraid of Wu Wudi? What a joke. That's right. With gang leader and the elders of the Wolf's Fong Gang here, even if that guy comes, he won't be able to walk away unscathed. Let's teach him a lesson. That's right, that's right. Our Wolf Fong Gang is not like the Black Tiger Gang. Do you think that just anyone would dare to cause trouble for us? The group of Wolf Fong Gang members discussed animatedly, and their words were filled with disdain towards Xiaoping. They felt that it was impossible for him to do so, and he did not have the guts to kill his way up to Wolf Fong Mountain. Dong, dong, dong. At this moment, someone knocked on the wooden door of the hall, one after another, rhythmically. The members of the Wolf Fong Gang were stunned and looked at each other. What's going on? Who's knocking? Could it be a guest? Nonsense. Our Wolf Fong Mountain is an important place for the Wolf Fong Gang. If there are guests, they must register in advance and make an appointment. Not everyone can come in. Could it be that the other brothers of our Wolf's Fong Gang have returned? I'm not sure. Let's go and take a look. A young man in black walked out and shouted at the door. Who is it? What's the matter? Delivery. A voice rang out from outside. Delivery? What the heck? There's delivery in the virtual world. Don't you know that you won't get hungry in the virtual world? The group of people had a strange look on their faces. Delivery? Who ordered delivery? Could it be gang leader? However, the young man in black was also confused. In the real world, he often ate delivery, and it had become a habit. Without suspecting anything, he opened the door subconsciously. It was too late for the others to stop the man in black. Immediately, a young man walked in, followed by a group of children and a few women. It was as if they were a big family, and they walked in majestically. Hey, what are you doing? This is an important place for the Wolf's Fong gang. What are you doing here? Don't you have any privacy? Put down the delivery and scram. If you dare to take another step forward, believe it or not, the Wolf Fong gang will kill you. The man in black instinctively sensed that something was wrong. He immediately stopped the young man and revealed a ferocious look. Wolf Fong Mountain was not a place that just anyone could enter, not even a delivery man. Kill me? Just you? The young man smiled slightly, revealing a mouthful of white teeth. He looked very ferocious. When the group of Wolf Fong gang members saw the young man's appearance, they all took a step back in fright. Their faces turned pale. Wu Woody. Damn, Wu Woody is here. He really came. Call the gang leader. Call the gang leader out immediately. Enemy attack. Enemy attack. This is bad, this is bad. The Wolf Fong gang members all shouted in panic. They were extremely terrified. They did not expect that Wu Woody, who had caused trouble at Black Tiger Mountain the day before, would come to Wolf Fong Mountain the next day. Previously, it was the Black Tiger gang. Now it was the Wolf Fong gang. Was he going to challenge all the sects that were attacking him one by one? If it was true, then he was too arrogant and condescending. In an instant, someone immediately rang the alarm bell. The clanging sounds echoed throughout Wolf Fong Mountain. Swoosh! Swoosh! Hearing this warning bell, countless higher-ups of Wolf Fong Mountain, including gang leader Gu Yong, quickly ran out from the depths of the main hall. Even some of the gang members who had just joined the Wolf Fong gang ran out. However, when they saw Xiaoping, all of their faces turned ashen. This was because they all knew that this demon had personally come to Wolf Fong Mountain. He was coming with a menacing aura. Things were not looking good. Gang leader Gu Yong put on a strong front. He looked down at Wu Woody. Wu Woody, what are you doing here at Wolf Fong Mountain? Do you know that there are tens of thousands of our brothers here? Just one spit from each of them can drown you. He wanted to gain the upper hand and scare Xiaoping. A life for a life. A debt must be paid. Xiaoping stood with his hands behind his back. I came to Wolf Fong Mountain for no other reason than to seek justice from all of you. Justice? What justice do you want? Previously, you killed thousands of our brothers. You've returned all the justice you want, Gu Yong shouted angrily, wanting to refute Xiaoping. They only have themselves to blame for their deaths. It's not justice, Xiaoping said lightly. Then what do you want? Gu Yong suppressed his anger. Xiaoping said, it's very simple. Hand over all the treasures of Wolf Fong Mountain. Leave none behind. He stated his conditions. Bullsh *T. Wu Woody, don't go too far. You want to take all the treasures of Wolf Fong Mountain? You're delusional. Don't think that you're invincible. If we really fight to the death, we won't even know who will emerge victorious. You're too greedy. You don't know your place. If you want to fight, then let's fight. Chapter 1341. The members of the Wolf Fong gang, including Gu Yong, were furious at Xiaoping's words. Robbing someone of their wealth was akin to killing their parents. The Wolf Fong gang had painstakingly accumulated their wealth for decades. God knew how much effort they had put into managing the Wolf Fong Mountain. How could this be? Gu Yong and the rest knew that they could not hide this time. They had to fight. Everyone, set up the formation. Gu Yong shouted and gave the order. The members of the Wolf Fong gang moved immediately. They were well-trained and moved to their positions. In a few breaths, they had set up a huge formation. This was the Wolf Fong gang's famous Wolf Fong formation. Relying on this battle formation, they could display several times their combat strength, like a pack of wolves devouring a tiger, killing the enemy. Rumble. In an instant, the formation was activated. Strand after strand of magical power gathered and transformed into huge black wolves with sharp claws and sharp fangs. They looked extremely ferocious. Each of these black wolves was terrifying. They were like ferocious beasts. Not only did they have hard shells and impenetrable bodies, they also had terrifying claws that could tear enemies apart. There were tens of thousands of these black wolves. It was as if a wolf pack had appeared. "Die Wu Woody!" Guyong roared. He stood in the middle of the formation, and his magical power formed a wolf that was 10 times larger than the other wolves. There seemed to be a golden crown on its head. It seemed like this wolf was the king of the wolves that could rule over countless black wolves. If there was a king among the wolves, they would not fear death. They could even command the wolves to unleash even greater power to tear their enemies apart. Asterisk, whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Asterisk, these giant black wolves pounced at Xia Ping without any regard for the cost. They clawed at him, containing the sharp qi of Gengjin. Even if it were a cultivator of the divine ability realm, they would be pierced by this claw and be severely injured on the spot. The scene of tens of thousands of black wolves attacking was extremely shocking. It was like an army advancing. A single person's power was extremely insignificant in front of an army. Rock steps. Xiaoping's body flashed and transformed into a rock. As if he had shrunk the ground, he instantly left his original spot and dodged the attacks of hundreds of black wolves. In an instant, he entered the center of the formation. Oh no, this B** Star wants to fight the leader. Stop him. Stop this kid immediately. Surround him, and kill him. Don't let him escape. Many of the Wolf Fong gang members shouted angrily. They spread out and attacked from all directions. Want to kill me? Dream on. Guyong sneered and looked at Xia Ping disdainfully. He was the core of the wolf teeth shattering formation. If the core of the formation was destroyed, the formation would naturally collapse by itself. But knowing this, how could he not be on guard? First of all, he arranged dozens of guards around him to prevent the enemy from carrying out the decapitation tactic. Of course, more importantly, Guyong was extremely powerful. Even if he didn't have any guards around him, as a cultivator at the peak of divine tier, there weren't many who could kill him in a formation in a low-grade city. If Wu Woody dared to do this, he would be courting death. It was suicide. Damn it, not good. Just as Guyong was feeling complacent, he suddenly realized that Wu Woody was extremely ferocious. It was like the ancient General Lu Bu had come back to life. He attacked alone, his fists like spears, piercing through the void. Dong! With just one punch, the dozens of Wolf Fong gang guards in front of him were immediately pierced like barbecued meat. A bloody hole appeared in their chests, and they disappeared from the virtual space just like that. What kind of fist technique is this? Guyong resisted with all his might, but he realized that Xia Ping's fist seemed to contain a vortex. It was like a black hole that devoured all power. The power of the divine tier power that he used was completely devoured, leaving nothing behind. Boom! In the next second, the fist landed on his body. A terrifying magical power erupted like the sea, concentrated at one point, and contained terrifying destructive power. I'm dead. Guyong's eyes widened. He slowly lowered his head and looked at his chest. There was already a bloody hole the size of a fist, and blood was dripping down. He was stunned, as if he couldn't believe that he was killed with just one punch. Even with the many guards around him, they couldn't withstand the power of the fist. With a thud, Guyong fell to the ground, no longer breathing. Oh no, the gang leader was killed with one punch. Damn it, did those guards grow up eating sh*t? Why didn't they stop this guy? They did, but they were also killed with one punch. They couldn't block it at all. Devil, this guy is a devil. We are no match for a devil like him. Many of the Wolf Fong gang members screamed in fear. With Guyong's death, the Wolf Fong army breaking formation immediately collapsed. A terrifying wave of primordial qi exploded from the center, as if it was creating a spiritual qi tide. Dong! One by one, the Wolf Fong gang members let out a blood-curdling scream. The spiritual qi wave was like the waves of the sea, constantly attacking and slapping on their bodies, shaking their lungs. Obviously, because the formation was broken, they also suffered from the backlash. Some of the weaker Wolf Fong gang members were immediately killed, turning into a pile of meat paste. Even if the remaining ones didn't die, they had lost most of their strength and could no longer fight. Go in and search for treasures in Wolf Fong Mountain, Xiaoping said to Yi Jia and the other children. He didn't care about the half-dead Wolf Fong gang members. After this battle, they could no longer pose any threat to him. It was best if they didn't do anything. If they dared to resist, he didn't mind sending them to the Western Paradise to meet Buddha. Okay, Yi Jiajia and the other children shouted excitedly. They were the best at plundering other people's treasures. They immediately rushed into the Wolf Fong gang's treasure vault. Not long after, they came out with big and small bags. Obviously, they had emptied the treasure vault. They didn't even let go of the herb garden. Every spiritual medicine was taken away. Let's go. Xiaoping was very satisfied. After looting all the treasures in Wolf Fong Mountain, he left with Yi Jiajia and the rest. It's over, it's completely over. The treasure vault is empty. It's cleaner than your face. Damn, the herb garden was also robbed. Not a single spiritual medicine was left for us. Even the grass was taken away. They are worse than beasts. Who is the robber here? Wu Wudi. This is an irreconcilable enmity. In the future, the Wolf Fong gang will not rest until one of us is dead. Many of the Wolf Fong gang members gritted their teeth. They were filled with grief and indignation. They looked up to the sky and let out a long howl. It seemed that they had completely borne a grudge against Xiaoping. Chapter 1342. The next day, the Major Bear Gang was located on a towering mountain known as the Bear Ridge. Giant bears grew everywhere. The members of the Ursa Major Gang were all tall and strong, like giant bears, possessing immense strength. In terms of individual strength, the Major Bear Gang could be said to be one of the best among all the other gangs. But at this moment, the Major Bear Gang was in a gloomy mood and faint voices could be heard. The Black Tiger Gang and the Wolf Fong Gang were defeated by Wu Wudi. It's not just those two gangs. After that lad challenged the Wolf Fong Gang, he also destroyed 2 or 3 small gangs near the Wolf Fong Mountain. They couldn't even escape. It was said that the scene was too horrible to look at. Damn it, so many gangs were defeated by him, and he doesn't seem to have any intention of stopping. Stop. He said he would visit them one by one and kill them all. What kind of joke is that? Does he want to challenge the Major Bear Gang? If he dares to come, the Major Bear Gang will fight it out with him. Fight it out? How can we fight it out? The Wolf Fong Gang and the Black Tiger Gang were about as strong as us, but they were both destroyed. Even the gang leader was killed with one punch. In the end, he didn't even hurt the kid. Damn it, this kid is a monster. Where did he come from? It doesn't matter where he came from. Let's just run, or we'll definitely be killed by him. Run? Where can we run to? This is the Bear Ridge, the territory of the Major Bear Gang. If we run, do we still want this spirit mountain and the spirit medicine? Do we want to give it to someone else? This is too frustrating. Since when has the Major Bear Gang been forced to this extent? That bastard is so arrogant. He'll definitely incur the wrath of the masses. I believe that soon there will be people who will follow him, and he'll definitely be trampled to death. Bullsh asterisk T. Distant water can't put out a nearby fire. By the time they come, we'll already be dead. Many of the Major Bear Gang members gritted their teeth, feeling extremely frustrated. After all, they were a local tyrant with over 10,000 members. Now, they were actually scared to this extent by a single person. How could they endure this? But it couldn't be helped. Wu Wudi's battle record was too shocking. The members of the Big Bear Gang, who had experienced that battle, were even more traumatized by Xiaoping. They had the urge to run away the moment they heard his name. The leader of the Ursa Major Gang, Yu Tao's expression was extremely ugly. As the leader, he should say something to raise the morale of the gang. But in the last battle, when 100,000 people besieged Xiaoping, he was only able to come back alive after narrowly escaping death. If he wanted to deal with such a monster, he really didn't have the strength. To be honest, he wanted to pack up and run away. If he wasn't the leader of the Ursa Major Gang, he would have set an example and not run away. Perhaps the first person to run away would be him. The threat of the other party was just that terrifying. At that moment, a few members of the Big Bear Gang rushed in and let out heart-wrenching screams. Gang leader, bad news. That traitor Wu Wudi has brought a girl to kill us. What? Everyone's expression changed. They were just talking about Wu Wudi. They didn't expect him to kill them now. He didn't even plan on giving them any time to breathe. And not only did he kill them, he even brought a girl. He was looking down on them. What did he take the Ursa Major gang for? Was a couple hotel for them? Bang! More than 10 figures flew in together with the wooden door outside. They crashed onto the ground and screamed like pigs being slaughtered. Then, Xiaoping appeared in front of everyone. It's Wu Wuti, F***CK. This demon really came. Let's run. Run my ass. This is our base. Where else can we run to? No. Let's fight him to the death and show the bravery of the Ursa Major gang. Old thief Wu, go and die. Many of the Ursa Major gang members shouted angrily. They were all forced into a desperate situation. One by one, they attacked. There were hundreds and thousands of strong men. Their aura was astonishing, like an army. The leader of the Ursa Major gang, Yu Tao, also took the lead. A bunch of idiots. Xiaoping clenched his fists, his expression ferocious. He was like a tiger in a flock of sheep, a shark in the sea. Everywhere he went, no one was a match. Spare me, spare me. I'm innocent, I'm innocent. I'm just a rookie who just joined the Ursa Major gang. I don't know anything. Big brother, I'm not the one chasing you. It's not me. Spare my life. Don't be afraid of him. We have more people. Elder, it's useless to have more people. They're all going to die. Everyone, don't be reckless. Be more wretched and look for an opportunity. How can I be wretched? One punch and I'll be killed. I can't be wretched. Many people cried and begged for mercy. But no matter what they did, they were no match for him. Half an hour later, these people were all lying on the ground, screaming in agony. Their cries were too horrible to look at. Even sect leader Yu Tao was killed in the first instant. Anyone who resisted was killed on the spot by Xiaoping. He didn't say anything. It could be said that those who were still alive were afraid of death. Everyone looked at Xiaoping in fear. They didn't dare to act rashly. Walala, after a while, Xiaoping led Jujia and the others to take away all the treasures of the Ursa Major gang. They plundered everything, not leaving a single treasure for them. It's over. Our Ursa Major gang is finished. Decades of accumulation, and now it's all for naught. All for naught. We worked so hard for so long just to work for Wu Wuti. That goddamn Wu Wuti, I'm not done with him. This bastard doesn't just want money. He wants life too. Sooner or later, he'll be struck by lightning. Old thief Wu, if you don't have eyes when you give birth in the future, you won't have a good ending. The group cursed fiercely. Not only did they lose a lot of money, but they were also beaten up badly. Their bodies and minds were humiliated by this shameless person. One could imagine how angry they were now. But even so, there was nothing they could do. They could only curse silently and hope that this kid would be unlucky and meet someone that this bastard couldn't afford to offend. Hurry up and inform the other gangs about this. Tell them to pack up and run. Don't let them all die, shouted a senior member of the Ursa Major gang. It's too late. The Wild Lion gang is nearby. A member of the Ursa Major gang cried. What? The expressions of the Ursa Major gang members changed. The Wild Lion gang was too close to their Ursa Major gang. They were practically neighbors. Even if they wanted to warn them now, it was too late. Looks like the Wild Lion gang is finished. Many of the Ursa Major gang members sighed. It seemed like it wouldn't be long before a group of fellow sufferers appeared.